It's time for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. For the next 3 hours, it's high school basketball from across the Mountain State. Live from Marshall University, here's your host, Ryan Epling.
It's a cold Friday, December 8th, 2017. It is time for high school basketball in the Mountain State. Ryan Epling alongside Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville. Happy to have you along for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, Season 5 of the program. Hard to believe we've been here that long. That's not what it's all about, though. We're here to talk high school basketball in the Mountain State. And, as always, with the beginning of the season, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get some kinks worked out. We don't get exhibition games on this show. We just jump right in and play a game. And, before we get our first look at the scoreboard here tonight, Joe Linville, 1 week away, 1 week now beyond the Super Six, and right in the thick of basketball season already.
It really, but some of these schools that we were just talking before we went on the air, that played in the playoffs still have a lot of players not eligible to be on the basketball court yet. And of course, season opened up this past Tuesday night. A lot of games played then, and of course, we got several games on tap tonight. Some schools for the first time. But I was talking, for instance, Mingo Central's coach, and he said, "Oh, we're doing the shoot-arounds because half of his team was still playing football at the time." And you think of Fairmont and Bluefield, some of these teams that go 2 or 3 sports. They're going to have some games without some players.
It's a welcome problem, mind you, for the community. Exactly. But Bill Cornwell, this is always a time of year where, sometimes out of the gate you see some scores that are kind of eye-opening, somewhat surprising maybe to the teams that you don't follow really up close. We'll talk about a couple of those types of scores a little bit later on in the show. But everybody's just trying to kind of get their footing, get their bearings, and get used to being back on the floor.
Yeah, this is definitely, if you're playing some of these schools that had a lot of football players and just been playing the last week or 2 weeks, maybe sneak up on them tonight. Maybe steal one from them. But, sometimes you can go the other way. And we were talking off the air, for instance, on Tuesday night, Spring Valley played Ironton, Ohio, and a ton of football players sitting on the end of the bench. Spring Valley still won by over 10 points, 11 points. So sometimes that kind of goes against the conventional wisdom.
And it is a situation that, like I said, every coach will gladly take this time of year. They're not out for themselves when it comes to high school basketball versus their own football program. Before we do go to the scores, though, for the first time, I do want to let you know that if you want to join the program at any time tonight, you can give us a call. That phone number is 1-855-78-HOOPS. That is 1-855-784-6677. And we certainly hope to have we know we've got several callers lined up for tonight, but we definitely want to hear from you and get your perspective on the beginning of another high school basketball season here in West Virginia. But first, it's time for our first check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Guys, it's a light night of schedule so far. We've got games still rolling in. I'll knock out this first scoreboard update, and then I'll turn it over to you guys a little bit later on throughout the night. Let's look at the boys' scores that are in currently on basketballnight.com, your one-stop shop for all high school basketball scores in West Virginia. It was Ripley defeating Grafton tonight, 55-54. The Vikings score the final 8 points of the game to win that contest in the Sam Board tournament. Also tonight, a matchup of the last 2 Class AA runner-ups. And it was all Chapmanville Regional tonight. The Tigers defeat Polka by a final score of 86-41. Chapmanville Regional opens the season with a win. Also tonight, in the third quarter, Braxton County leads Lincoln 40-38. Great ball game going on tonight in Shinston. Also tonight, final score, University goes to 2-0. The Hawks defeat Buchanan Upshur 78-53. Buffalo is 1-1. The Bison knock off Wahama tonight, 46-41 in the season opener for the White Falcons. Also tonight, Charleston Catholic opens its season with a win, 51-43 over the Sherman Tide. Greenbrier West picks up a win over Independence, 50-43 the final in that one. North Marion a home winner over Liberty Harrison, 74-45 the final, 24 points for Jude Akabuzi in that contest. They are in overtime right now, where Lincoln County and Van are tied at 64. Great ball game. Van actually jumped out to a 12-point lead early in the fourth quarter of that one. Lincoln County, though, able to fight back and send that one to overtime, where they are right now. Also in the third quarter, Morgantown defeating Preston, or leading Preston, I should say, 47-23 the score in that one. The Nitro Wildcats are 2-0. They pick up a 75-69 victory over Nicholas County. Also tonight, final score, Oak Hill defeats Pikeview 46, make that 45-14. Final score tonight, Ravenswood, the Class A runner-up from a year ago, opens its season with a victory over Ritchie County, 84-35 the final in that one. Also a final, the reigning AA state champions, Fairmont Senior, open their season with a win, 87-36. The Polar Bears defeat Brook. And a game that is at the half right now, it is Hedgesville 31, Silver Oak Academy from Maryland 14.
Well, before you jump over to the girls' final, just in, Logan defeats Scott 92-70.
On the girls' side, in the Williamstown tournament tonight, Wheeling Central defeats Poca 92-54 the final in that one. Great game in Glen Hayes in the Barbara J. Marone Key Player Shootout. That's where our cohort, Rick Marone, is running a tournament down there. In the opener, the George Washington Patriots defeat Wayne tonight 57-54 the final in that one from Rebel Arena. Also tonight in the Hardy County Girls Hardwood Classic, it was Moorfield defeating East Hardy 42-28. We laugh about that because it seems like their boys or girls play every Friday night against each other throughout the course of the season.
Seems like it.
Riverview defeats Shady Spring tonight, 75-25 the final. And also a final tonight, Hurricane defeats East Fairmont 82-44. That is your first check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Bill, Cornwell, any of those scores stick out to you on this opening Friday?
I actually got an update for you. We got a final in that overtime game, Van and Lincoln County, while you were reading, and Van beats Lincoln County 72-68.
So
a good win for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, a little single A school there from Boone County and taking on Lincoln County. And they've had some tough little, sports teams at Van over the years. And, the boys and girls are supposed to be fairly decent again this year.
There is one game I'm anxious to hear a score from tonight is Greenbrier East hosting the Hurricane Redskins. Of course, first game for the Greenbrier East boys without Governor Jim Justice as the coach. But they do have a pretty good guy coaching them, though, named Coles.
Yeah,
Bimbo Coles.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Hurricanes been a quality team for the last several years with Coach Sutherland.
They made a run to the state championship game.
Yes, they did.
And had a fantastic run through that tournament. Fell to Huntington in the title game. And, we'll go back to Bill here for just a second. Bill, Huntington's boys last year winning the state championship again as a 3 seed. And it just, I'll tell you, they've been just a mainstay in that state championship Saturday now.
And you look back at that game last year, and most people looked at that matchup with Capital and Huntington, and we're basically saying there's no way Huntington's going to beat Capital. They're just too talented, they're just too athletic. But, of course, outstanding coaching job by Ron Hess. They slowed the tempo down. They got Capital uncomfortable, and they made Capital play defense, which for long stretches of time Capital wasn't comfortable doing. And just a brilliant job by the Highlanders. But we got another week to wait to see what the Highlanders give us this year, because their first game is not till next Friday. So they've got a lot of time to prepare. And, of course, they went into the semifinals of the playoffs. So their guys who are football players, including possible player of the year in the state, Michael Dawson, they'll get all their practices in, and they'll be ready to go when the season starts.
And Joe, Huntington's boys last year winning their 4th title third title in 4 years, 4 straight trip to the championship game. And probably 3 of those, they weren't favored going into the tournament.
Right. And then you look at the preseason poll and who's on top. Huntington. So, you never know. I mean, like you said, it's early in the season. I'm surprised a team waits that long to get their first tip, because some of these schools, it seems like they'll play like early December, like they'll play 3 or 4 games, and then they kind of get into that Christmas break if they're not playing in any Christmas tournaments, and don't play again until after the first of the year.
Yeah, the schedules are always a little bit topsy-turvy this time of year. I know there are many different philosophies. Some want to get out on the floor on opening night. Others want to kind of lay back and kind of play more games on a more regular, 2 to 3 games a week schedule throughout the course of the season.
And the deal with Huntington, you just kind of get a feeling that maybe the AD at Huntington, Bruce Sr., probably saw that they were going to make a deep run in the football playoffs, and he said, well, let's give a little cushion. And they certainly have plenty of cushion.
And I do want to mention, too, Michael Dawson did have some leg issues through the end of the football season.
Yes, he did. He was not 100%.
And the only way those type of issues heal is rest.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of time for that. But any little bit helps this time of year. You go back to a year ago, and our final show last year was on semifinal Friday night, so we didn't really get to cover the boys' championship games from last year. Championship games that saw Notre Dame win Class A, Fairmont Senior repeat in AA, and Huntington win AAA. And it was a year where I don't think anyone was surprised at Fairmont Senior winning AA. But, Joe, I know you're familiar with Chapmanville's program. The Tigers made it to the finals, had a good showing in Charleston, have a lot back this year. So does Fairmont. A lot of ways, those 2 teams seem to be, at least on paper and in preseason thought, the top 2 contenders in AA. Not to say, though, that no one can step up and be right there with them.
Yeah, Coach. I talked to Coach Napper back during the football season, and he was really excited to get his team. Of course they pretty much practice year round in ways with non-coaching. Having other people coach the team, but he was so excited. He said, "I'm really looking forward to this year," and he said, our team, their goal is to get back to Charleston and bring back that trophy back to Chapmanville, because, they were, so close last year. And like you said, just Fairmont stepped in and outmanned them there at the end of the ball game.
And how about Notre Dame? Bill, being where we are, our show emanates from the studios of WMUL Radio in Huntington, West Virginia, at the campus of Marshall University. We get to see Jared West starting as a freshman for Marshall, as a senior last year in high school, leading the Irish to a state championship. And it's easy to see why he's a different kind of player.
He was the Bill Evans Award winner last year as the player of the year in the state. And, you can already see as a college freshman, he's something special. He's ahead of the game, because he does not look on a Division I college level already that he does not belong there. He's averaging about 6-7 points a game. Sometimes has had some big scoring nights, and there you see how he led Notre Dame to that state championship. Just a quality guy all around. I think we're talking about AA. AA is going to be really good this year. And of course, you got to talk about Mingo Central. You got to talk about Jeremy Dillon, and he just coming off of a good football season, and big things expected out of the Miners and Jeremy. And of course, Jeremy has gone ahead and got his college signing done. That pressure's off, and he can. And as he said when he signed with Marshall about a month ago, that now I can focus on having a good year.
And we talked about Michael Dawson with the leg injury. Joe, you were at the football semifinal between Mingo Central and Fairmont Senior, a game that Fairmont Senior won. Don't necessarily have to go into the football side of things, right, but Jeremy Dillon got banged up in that game.
He did. He hurt his knee probably midway through the first quarter, and it really didn't start to show until halftime. But then when he come out after, going to the 20-minute timeout at the half, come back out in the third quarter, he couldn't hardly walk. I don't know how he was on the football field. Couldn't get his feet set to throw the ball, and so you don't know how far that injury will carry over into basketball season.
So obviously some storylines already starting to form, and we're just the first week of December. We've got a lot of show, though, to go. The fastest 3 hours in radio. We'll be back with your phone calls when we come back on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. This is Break One here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as the teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia for 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. We want to welcome two of our newest affiliates tonight. The Valley's Watchdog, 1600 AM WKKS Wheeling and 1370 AM WVLY in Moundsville. We want you to become part of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Tweet us your team score. Give us your comments on the game. @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. And a big shout out tonight to the people following us on Twitter, including Jason McGrew, Brent Kolowski, Julia Wark, Deanna Stanley, Ido Sol, Jason Whitehead, Sammy Lusk, CCHS Athletics, BL Cook, Sean Moran, Kick Masters Karate, David Johnson, the Logan Wildcat basketball team, Sharon Kaiser, Bonnie Lawson, Dwayne Combs, Jeremy, Joe Wetzel, and Taylor Vasquez. Follow us here at basketballnight.com.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
9:17 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Joe Linville, Bill Cornwell with you here on another Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Rick Marone not with us tonight. He wouldn't schedule a tournament on opening night.
Really? Did he do that intentionally?
Hey.
You think?
I think he's trying to avoid us.
He's doing his real job. He's coaching his team and running this tournament. Of course, this tournament is very near and dear to his heart. It's in memory of his mother, who was a trailblazer as far as a coach and official among women in the state of West Virginia. As far as I know, she may have been the first female referee that was accredited by the SSAC.
Barbara J. Marone.
A little bit of history.
Yeah, and it is the Barbara J. Marone Key Player Shootout that's going on down at Tulsa High School tonight and tomorrow. We already told you earlier, George Washington defeating Wayne by 3. Excellent game. George Washington, a good program. Wayne's got probably the best team it's had.
Yeah.
And so that was a good matchup for both teams early in the season.
Yeah, in AA, watch out for the Pioneers. Watch out for Wade Williamson's team.
And and we'll get to the phone lines in just a second, and hang in there with us, Jesse. We'll get to you in just a moment. But Joe, a lot of times I think if you look at AA girls basketball, and we'll just touch on this real fast, Wyoming East, the prohibitive favorite. They were also the prohibitive favorite this time last year and didn't make the tournament because of injuries. Those are things you cannot account for in the preseason. We talked about just now, we expect Wayne to have a good team. Wayne has never had a boys or girls team make the state tournament. Joe, Wayne hasn't put its starting 5 on the floor in a postseason game now in 2 years. I mean, so there's so much time between now and the postseason, so many variables. It's hard to really say anything with certainty at this point in the year.
You know, we've talked about injuries, and now we've talked about, you know, one sport carrying into another one. You have to have so many practices. So this time of the year, I mean, everything is still pretty iffy, and everybody's on an even playing field until you get into probably week 2 or 3. Then, you know, the things start shaking out and leveling off to where they're supposed to be.
Our guys behind the scenes are working hard on the scoreboard, but right now let's go to the phone and go to Jesse Willis. And I believe Jesse's at the Greenbrier East Hurricane game tonight. Is that correct?
Not at the game. Listen to the game on the radio. Had to work.
All right. Do you have a final or a score on that?
It's not a final. It's 70-63 Greenbrier East with 4:20 left to go in the fourth.
All right, that sounds like an excellent ball game going on early in the season. Teams that used to be MSAC opponents, Greenbrier East no longer in the Mountain State Athletic Conference, and from a travel standpoint, who can blame them? But again, we talk about a lot of times great early season matchups. Sounds like a good game, and I know you're getting to listen to it. I know you're getting to listen to a good broadcast crew do that game too. What are the expectations? As you hear that, are you listening to a game that's basically going as you thought it might?
It's not going as I felt it would go. I knew that I said from the daylight, because I went to school with Bimbo and played against Bimbo. I knew from the get-go we would be in shape. We could run with anybody in the state, but the offense is just kicking. The Lemons kid from East has 30 points. He had like 5 3-pointers in the third quarter. I think the biggest lead of the game, at one point East was up by 21, but other than that, it's been give and take the whole ball game.
And that is also excellent. And you know, you say you went to school with Bimbo Coles. He's in his first season as the head coach, taking over for Governor Jim Justice. Anyone who's out of state or not familiar with basketball in West Virginia may have just kind of thought I misspoke there, but I didn't. But yeah, I guess the question would be for this season for Greenbrier East. Bimbo Coles has been around that program. He's not new to the boys basketball program there. I guess there are still good expectations for that team to potentially, you know, try to compete with Beckley and try to get to Charleston.
Well, there's no doubt about it, and you know, being around Bimbo and supporting him Olympics, and I hate to say it, even when he was at Virginia Tech, but anyway, Bimbo will build a program there. There's no doubt about it, and you know, we're glad to have him. We had no problems with the governor or whatever, but he's got obligations to do there, and Bimbo being young and being an Olympic and a former NBA player, he's brought excitement back to the program that's needed to be there for some time.
I hate to delve back into what was honestly something that was very difficult for that community going back to June 23rd, 2016, and then the deadly floods that swept through West Virginia. How has that area recovered, and how has sports in particular maybe kind of helped that community along a little bit, regain a sense of normalcy when you go through, talk about Rennell and places that were really devastated by those deadly floods?
Raynell, White Sulphur, and even Alderson. It's been a county-wide pull together. You know, the old saying of when it gets tough, the tough gets going. It's been an example, and you know, even I work as an EMT at one of the local fire departments, and even sports programs from out of the area, things just kept flooding in. And you know, I've former military and been all over the United States, and you know, people listen to your show from other states. I don't want to run off your audience, but I'll tell you, there's nothing like West Virginians when time gets tough.
Amen.
Hey, we're right there with you, Jesse, and you know, I know there's still some residuals, residual effects throughout, you know, Nicholas County, for instance, as well, going with the consolidation situation there that's been contentious, and I know
still fighting.
Yeah, they're still fighting over that.
Well, they are, won't they?
Right, but you know, to me, in this state, high school basketball, I'll be honest with you, I'm first and foremost a football fan. I think high school basketball has a much bigger following in this state than football does. When you go to Charleston to the state tournament, you'll see 8,000 people per session. You don't get that many to any of the title games in Wheeling.
Well, I agree, because one, Wheeling, it's it's a little bit of a haul. But I hope she's not listening at work. But basketball, my wife likes football too, but it's much easier to go sit when it's 30 degrees outside and watch basketball than it is football.
Absolutely.
I think we'll all agree with you on that. And Jesse, really good to hear from you tonight. We appreciate you calling in. We'll let you get back to listening to the conclusion of that Hurricane Greenbrier East game. And, hey, feel free to give us a call every Friday night.
Hey, we'll see what we can do. And you can say that you heard it here first. 3 years, Bimbo will be in the state championship in AAA. You heard it here first.
All right. I remember the Sports Illustrated cover with the we'll let Jesse go there. Remember the Sports Illustrated cover that had the Houston Astros?
The 2017 World Champion Houston Astros.
Yes, and that was in 2014. So, guys in the back, mark that. And when we get to Season 8 in about 3 years, Season 7 or 8, whatever, and we'll go back and check that one out.
Hey, Ryan, you're a trivia kind of guy. I've got a trivia question for you real quick. What is Bimbo's real name? You have any idea? No Googling.
If I
know it.
I don't.
Do you really?
I honestly do not know this. I'm going to guess,
I had
which
no
is
clue.
dangerous.
Go ahead.
Richard.
No.
What it is
Bill?
Vernell.
That's exactly
Vernell.
right.
Vernell Bimbo Coles.
I would want to be Bimbo too.
Now I need to know who Richard Coles is because, well, he's a musician. I've never heard of him. All right, but live radio, guys, we have fun. And let's go back to the phone lines to Richard in Wheeling. Richard is associated with the Lindsley Academy boys basketball team in Wheeling. Richard, welcome to the program.
I'm not going to say that I'm associated with them. I just heard you give the number out, and I thought you talked about expectations, and I know they paid Fort Fry last night. I think Fort Fry I don't even think they're a West Virginia team. I think they're from Ohio.
It is an Ohio team, yeah.
And they lost, which kind of surprised me. What it has to do with is why I would be calling is my interest in going to the game. I just wondered I don't know if you know that or if you have any statistics on it about the expectations of Lindsay this year. Actually, if I could ask, I'd like to know what the expectations of Wheeling Central and Wheeling Park are, too. If you can get into all three of them, or maybe I could just focus on one. I don't know what you want to do.
Oh, that's fine. We'll go wherever you want with that. In terms of Lindsley, I'll be honest with you. With Lindsley not being in the SSAC, where it is an academy school, and just the way it functions, it has a different purpose than the public school system or even the private school system that fall under the SSAC does. Year to year, I cannot tell you what's expected from that school. I honestly, it's hard to get a gauge on them. They typically put a very solid, competitive, athletic program on the field in every sport. You go back to football, and Eddie Drummond, who played at Penn State and made the NFL, went to Lindsley Academy. There have been several good athletes go through Lindsley Academy as well that aren't being mentioned right now. So in terms of expectations for Lindsley, it's difficult from a year-to-year standpoint. Wheeling Central.
Mel
Go ahead.
Mel Blunt's kids played for Lindsley. They played both football and basketball.
Yeah.
You know, the Steeler Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
Kids played for.
yeah.
They move around Wheeling Central and since Chase Harlan, but I think he's been gone for 2 years. I'm just interested in the expectation of the Lindsley game and Wheeling Park. Wheeling Park, it seems like they've been down for a few years. When they were always down there for the state championships, but it just doesn't seem like they're having the same kind of progress as they used to have. It seems like they've sort of turned it around and gone the other way. And I just wondered what you think about them. Like you used the word expectations of Wheeling Central and Wheeling Park.
All right. Thank you very much, and we'll answer that here right now. In terms of Wheeling Central, I think their girls' team is considered a favorite in Class A, not the favorite. That would be St. Joe. But Wheeling Central is considered to be a team that can maybe dethrone St. Joe in Class A, and was very impressive tonight. Polka is a team that made the AA state tournament a year ago. They lost Casey Skeen. She's more of a softball player. She's at Eastern Michigan University now, but still Polka, a solid program on the girls' side, and Wheeling Central did a number on them tonight, so that's impressive for them. Big expectations for them. And the boys at Wheeling Central, they are, any given year, I think that's a ball club and a program that can win a state title. They before last year had been to the state championship game 3 years in a row, had lost the last two, but with Wheeling Central boys basketball, you expect them to be at the very least on semifinal Friday, and in many instances championship Saturday.
And they're another school that's going to probably be a little slow start because of football, but I know that they have a lot of carryover from football to basketball as athletes are involved. So you saw the quality on the football field as they took care of St. Mary's last week. They will no doubt bring it to the basketball court as well. And I'm like you. Really, you expect Wheeling Central on the boys' side to be there every year, always a factor. You never really see a down year out of the Crusaders.
And they're top on the preseason polls as well, so they've got somebody's attention.
You know it.
Yeah, the Maroon Knights, big expectations as always. I think that program is basically defined by expecting to win championships.
Now you think about Wheeling Park, that's another story. They have a really tough road to hoe when you think about who they have to take care of in sectional play and regional play. Usually Morgantown, if not University, is standing in their way as far as that part of the state. Really, I don't think Brooke and John Marshall really that big of a factor, but the Morgantown schools are a big halt to them.
University, a very young team a year ago, was the 2 seed, lost to Huntington in the semifinal, but was right there. That was an excellent ball club, and we certainly have high expectations for them this year as well. We're going to step aside, take a break. When we come back, we get another check of the scoreboard. Then we'll go to Dylan Goday of Buchanan Upshur and the Buccaneer Sports Network. I'm a little rusty.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights. It's Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. Streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University. Visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the Basketball Friday Night scoreboard. Watch our live high-definition video stream by going to basketballnight.com. It takes just one click to watch. And you can watch us on Network West Virginia. You can listen to us on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including our newest affiliates tonight. The Valley's Watchdog, 1600 AM, WKKS in Wheeling, 1370 AM, WVLY, Mansville. Jackson County's home for Southern Gospel, Singing News Radio, 92.5 FM, WTHM LP, Ravenswood, Ripley. Nights Radio, 91.5 FM, WRSG in Middleburn. Talk Radio, WRNR in Martinsburg, 740 AM, 106.5 FM. Classic Hits 106, WHFI Linside 106.7 FM, 95 The Sports Fox, WBES Charleston 950 AM, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM. Our friends down in Logan, WVOW in Logan, Light Rock 93R, WRRR St. Mary's 93.9 FM, The Ticket 102.3 FM, WMTD in Hinton, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAP Clay, and Marshall University's flagship station, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State. You're listening to Basketball Friday night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
It is 9:34 on this Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. season premiere of Year 5 of the program. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville with you. Happy to have you with us all the way till midnight as we cover all things high school sports, high school basketball in West Virginia. We'll go back to the phone lines in just a moment to John Blackmore. Happy to have him. We'll explain that in a moment as well. But first, and Joe, I'll turn you loose with the boys' scores. Bill, I'll give you the girls' scores. It's time for the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard.
On the boys' side of the scoreboard, it was the Grafton Bearcats falling to Ripley tonight, 55-54 in a close one. It was the Tigers of Chapmanville taking down the Dots of Polka, 86-41. Lincoln High School took down Braxton County, 66-62. It was the University Hawks taking down Buchanan Upshur, 78-53. It was Buffalo over Wahama, 46-41. Sherman fell to Charleston Catholic tonight, 51-43. It was Meadowbridge over Fayetteville, 62-58. Hurricane trails the Greenbrier East Spartans late in the fourth quarter. The last update we had is 70-63. It was Greenbrier West over Independence tonight by a score of 50-43. North Marion over Liberty Harrison, 74-45. Shady Spring down Liberty Raleigh, 94-37. The Van Bulldogs in overtime defeated Lincoln County, 72-68. And their season opener tonight, the Logan Wildcats down the Scouts of Scott, 92-70. Morgantown defeated Preston, 57-34. It was Riverview falling to Mount View, 67-49. Nitro defeated Nicholas County, 75-69. It was Oak Hill over Pike View, 93-34. Ravenswood down Ritchie County tonight, 84-35. The Polar Bears of Fairmont Senior took down Brook, 87-35. And at the half, it's Hedgesville leading Silver Oak Academy of Maryland, 31-14. Bill, over to look at the girls' scores.
All right, starting off with the Wheeling Central Catholic Maroon Knights. We just talked about them a little while ago, and they had a dominating win tonight over the Polka Dots, 92-54 in the tournament at Williamstown. Final from the Tulsa tournament, the Barbara Marone Memorial Tournament out at Tulsa. George Washington knocks off the Wayne Pioneers by a score of 57-54. Looking on down the scoreboard, and the Hardy County tournament, East Hardy falls to Moorfield, 42-28. Riverview, a big win over Shady Springs, 75-26. It was Westside's Renegades over the Man Hillbillies, 62-32. The Hurricane Redskin ladies, they get a big win over the Bees of East Fairmont by a score of 82-44, and that is what we have so far.
Thank you very much, guys. And something that we're always proud of with this program is how it has grown. And when I say we're proud of it, it's because of people believing in this program. We started off on 2 stations. We're now on more than 20. And our family has grown this season, and we are so happy to join you on WKKX in Wheeling, WVLY in Moundsville. John Blackmore is with us now. He was a regular on the program a couple of years ago. Now we have him back with us. And, John, first off, it's our pleasure, and we thank you for having us here on Basketball Friday Night.
Well,
in West Virginia.
we would have done this a year earlier, but we ended up moving locations, and I had to take the blame. I went a bit over budget and messed some things up. So we're on a year later than we would have liked to, but better late than never. We wanted to be on for a while, so thanks for waiting on us and being patient.
Again, our pleasure, and I know you follow Wheeling sports closely, Wheeling Park, Wheeling Central. Expectations are something that we just talked about. I think they're high again for Wheeling Central on the basketball floor. And coming off of a football state title where they were the 10 seed and still coming through and getting at a team that got better each week throughout the course of the season. A basketball program that did not reach championship Saturday last year for the first time in more than 3 years. I think there are a lot of people there that basically the wire in terms of success is a title.
Yeah, and if you don't meet that, there's plenty of issues that go around. I mean, this football team started off slow, and the masses started to rumble, and Coach Young was able to pull everybody together. But they expect championships, and if we would have said last year that they would have lost to Notre Dame after how they handled Notre Dame twice in the regular season in basketball, I would have said you're crazy. I thought they played really well, and they didn't play right. They didn't play good at the right time of the year, and it cost them a state championship. This year, same expectations. I think the region and the section, I would guess it would be, I don't want to say a breeze, but they should be heavily favored to get down to Charleston again.
And always a threat when they're there for certain. And I apologize in advance. I'm not sure how closely you follow the girls program there, but expectations are high for them as well, and a very impressive win tonight over Polka.
Yeah, big win there. They got beat by Morgantown. A game they shot, I believe, 19%, and you can't shoot 19% and win, and they didn't. But Taylor DePlaga, leader of that team, and that sophomore Owen Gaynor, who's already got an offer from Youngstown State. She's a heck of a player. They've got size inside. They can shoot from the outside. They go about 8 deep, and I guess the hope for Wheeling Central would be you obviously you get downstate and you get opposite practice St. Joe's.
Yeah, and you take your shot at them on Championship Saturday if you're both there, obviously. And I'll tell you what, it was a few years ago now, but it was probably the best team that St. Joe's had in this run when they still had Michael Johnson, Griffin Dempsey, and that crew. And I remember, I think it was actually their junior year, so it's probably the second best team they had in this run. But Wheeling Central took that team deep into the fourth quarter with a ball club that maybe wasn't considered on that elite level to have multiple Division I players that particular year. This program is a steady team in terms of, yes, St. Joe, let's be honest, we know what goes on there. But with Wheeling Central, they seem to still be able to be right there to fight with them at the end.
Yeah, and everybody, we know what St. Joe's is, but, Wheeling Central, those girls are all feeder school kids from St. Mike's and St. Vincent's, and you can go down through, and a lot of the family names are the same. Their dads were good players there. Their mom was a good player. Owen, Miss Gaynor there, her brother Owen plays for the boys team, by the way. Eden, she's a Contragero, and her mom was an excellent player there. But somehow these parents get involved. They help coach. They work out on the weekends. They, when they were little kids, I'm talking about, they're in the gym. And we had, my son had basketball practice the other night, and there was a 3rd and 4th grade team practicing before the JV team. And that's how it starts at Wheeling Central. You get 3rd and 4th graders in a gym working out, practicing for their little season before they even hit 5th grade basketball. So, there's big expectations. There's a lot of tradition, and they expect to keep winning, and the families keep coming back.
And you mentioned something there that I want to touch on, and I think is perhaps a little bit different with Wheeling Central than other private schools. You mentioned it's a lot of people with the same names. You hear the same families go through, and family being key there. I know a lot of folks outside of Wheeling see Wheeling Central every year, and sometimes, there's, private schools can do things a little bit different. They have to a degree, to survive. But Wheeling Central, to me, is almost its own community within Wheeling.
You're correct, I believe. I think you got it right, and it's a lot of the same, like you said, it's a lot of the same families going through, and after the football, of course, it was 2011 last time the football team won, so it was kind of quiet on the hey, let's bash Wheeling Central because they recruit, bandwagon. And then as soon as they get back to the 10 seed, they win a state championship the week leading up to it. We come back there. Oh, do you see all the cars from Pennsylvania and Ohio? I mean, really? I mean, my son goes there. We live in Ohio, but he went to grade school there. He went all the way through. His mom taught there. That's why he's there. And then they say, well, what about all the cars from Pennsylvania? Well, that's my nephew, and he's on the sideline. His nickname's Booger, and he's 5'7". Played about 6 snaps. So yeah, you're right. There's a kid from Ohio and a kid from Pennsylvania. Okay, you win. That's my family. Thank you very much, East Hardy.
I love it.
Give me a break. All those license plates down there from Ohio and Pennsylvania. That was me and my sister-in-law, and I called the game on the radio, and her kid didn't play. So yeah, you win.
Right.
But it is.
But it's all legal.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's all legal.
Yeah. No, I'll say this in terms of the private school situation. Again, I know there are a lot of hard feelings from rural schools. I know that rural schools face different challenges as well. And I think it's more rural and urban related than it is necessarily. It's drawing area and number of people to draw from that is frustrating.
This isn't Cardinal Mooney.
Right.
Where you can go
right.
an hour outside and bring out a quarterback, and you lose your quarterback. Next year, somehow you get a kid that's going to Nebraska.
Right. Yeah. Cardinal Mooney, by the way, a football power out of Youngstown, and yeah, exactly. And I just think that there are some misconceptions there, but definitely that school's a family more than anything, and one that's very, very successful in athletics. And John, we always appreciate talking with you. We missed you last year, but again, we're happy to be in Wheeling and Moundsville now on WKKX and WVLY, and we thank you so much for all that you've done for us.
Hey, not a problem. You guys, next time I'll give you an education on how Lindsley's going to be this year. I heard Radio Rich calling in earlier. So another time.
Hey, thank you very much. That's John Blackmore, WKKX and Wheeling WVLY in Moundsville. We'll step aside, take a break, come back. We'll get to Dylan Goday. Sorry about that, Dylan. We'll get you when we come back here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. This is Break 3 on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
How about a chance to graduate from college not only with a diploma, but also prepared to thrive in an exciting, growing field? The Marshall University Sports Journalism program might just be for you. The expansion of cable networks, the rise of sports-centered online platforms, and the continued thirst for local sports coverage makes sports journalism a growth industry with jobs waiting for those who earn this degree. Your passion, curiosity, and charisma, coupled with Marshall University's sports journalism training, will equip you for success in a multi-billion-dollar global industry. So bring your abilities and desire to be the eyes, ears, and life of the game to our Huntington campus and learn the art of sports storytelling while covering the thundering herd. We'll teach you how to go beyond the scores and statistics to tell compelling stories and accurately report breaking news across multiple media platforms. Marshall University's W. Page Pitt School of Journalism and Mass Communications is ready and eager to help you start your sports journalism career. Learn more about the exciting possibilities by visiting marshall.edu/SOJMC. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Tweet us your team score. Give us your comments on the game. Call us tonight. Give us an update. 855-784-6677. 855-784-6677. For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
It is 9:49 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, Friday, December 8th, 2017, Season 5. Did we get a redshirt year? Are we in a post-grad year? How do we want to call this? No.
Grad assist year.
Yeah, there we go. Freshman year of college. No, it's fascinating, though. And throughout the course of this year, we want to try to sprinkle in a few of these along the way. We don't have one tonight set up, but many of these athletes we followed, starting when they were freshmen, are in college now. There are a lot of college athletes that we've had on this program when they were in high school. And there's a sense of pride, one, from just having people from West Virginia succeed in sports and at the college level. And two, there's a little bit of a sense of pride that we had them on this show, so to speak, before they made it onto a Division I stage. So that's something we and not always Division I, Division II. I mean, let's be honest. If you can get
to the next level,
yes, if you can get a big chunk of your college paid for and play basketball and get a good education from it, that's a win-win situation. And I'm gonna sound like an old man here. As much as I love football, unless you're going to play professional football, I don't know that it's worth it to put your body through that at the college level at this point.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of young men grow up just playing high school football and still paying for it, as an adult.
Right. And I just think that you want to work with your brain in that regard. And unfortunately, your brain tends to be something that can get injured by. Dylan Godet has set the early benchmark for being on hold. He's with the Buccaneer Sports Network, Buchanan Upshur. He's been on hold for 26 minutes. Let's bring him on the program. Dylan, welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Thank you guys for having me. That was an interesting conversation you guys were just having, though, so I was intrigued by it.
Sometimes we wander off a little bit, but we hope it stays entertaining and informative, and that at least we sound like we know what we're talking about in that regard. Something that I know you know about, Buchanan Upshur basketball. I know the boys came up short tonight, but that girls program has very high expectations after reaching all the way to, right on the cusp of a state championship a year ago. I mean, excellent basketball team, a lot of players back, and that's a team that, honestly, I expect to see on Championship Saturday this year in Class AAA.
And I think that's their expectations as well. Again, the season they had last year, only losing 2 players from it, 2 real contributors there. So lots of experience coming back as well. The seniors, the group of 4 seniors that the team has, they've made 3 trips and hopefully 4 this season. So their experience playing in Charleston and now moving last year to the section with Morgantown University and Preston, they've been getting experience in the regular season as well. So again, I know from having 2 sisters on the team that the expectations are high for them, and it's high in the household. I know talking to them, they're wanting a state championship trophy after devastation last season, falling to Huntington there, and they learned a lot from that. And really, their first 2 games this season, they went through some adversity as well, and fought through it like I haven't seen them since watching them grow up and playing. So you can definitely tell this is a different Buchanan team than last season, just by the growth from last year.
You have 2 sisters on the team you just mentioned, so you've been able to watch them grow up, and not only they, but their teammates as well. So you've watched this group basically from the time they were just learning how to dribble a basketball. How big is that for that community? I know we talked about that a lot last year, but you go from, hey, they're having a great year, let's get behind them, to, we should win this whole thing this year, or it, some people would say it's a failure. I don't think wins and losses determine success on the court, but that's a different story too. But how are they handling the expectations of being a title contender?
You mentioned the family as well. There's 3 sets of sisters on the team, so that's a pretty cool aspect to it as well. When you're talking just previously about Wheeling Central, about their family atmosphere, this team for Buchanan really feels like a family as well, one big family. But again, you really saw the community support behind them in that state championship game against Huntington. I remember looking at the doors to get into the game, and it was 90% Buchanan. They were there ready early. That's how it is in Buchanan. Growing up there and having my family from there for generations, that when you have success, the community enjoys it. And knowing with the Buchanan Sports Network, they just started it last season, really getting it going, and really built off the support of the community wanting to hear their teams playing, because the local affiliates, radio affiliates, didn't dropped all the athletics on the radio, so they're looking for a way to listen to the local teams. And then with the girls' success last season, new sponsors have come on to the Buccaneers Sports Network, so it's really growing as well. So I think the girls are handling it well. They had a lot of experience handling it with the state championship game last year. It was packed full of Buchanan people, and that's really the vibe around the community. Everybody's asking each other, when do the girls play? And I know just on the Facebook page for Buchanan, for the Buccaneers Sports Network, people asking were the last two games home because they wanted to go see them, but they had to travel, so they listened to us as well. And having a viewership online of 300 to 500 people for a first couple games of the season is huge for Buchanan, where when it started out, there were under 100, under 50 listeners for each game. So it's definitely growing, and the girls are thriving off of that as well.
Hey, Dylan, this is Joe Linville. Do you think that loss puts a bigger drive into the team, as they focus on this season wanting to get back to Charleston?
I think it does, especially after that fourth quarter, because it was close up for the first three quarters, and that fourth quarter got away from them. And I think that's really getting to them, especially their leader in Hannah McClung. She's a Division II basketball commit heading to Lenore Ryan after this season. All she's talking about, and she's one of the hardest workers you'll ever meet, hardest working athletes in general, is Hannah. And all she talks about is winning that state championship. That's her goal. And I think her as a leader of the team, that's spreading, because my sisters, they're thriving off of her energy that Hannah brings to the team week in and week out. So I think you have to contribute that to Hannah McClung, that senior point guard, really driving that team to get back to Charleston.
It should be an excellent, fun season for the Buccaneers. Dylan, thanks so much. We look forward to hearing from you again next week.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right, that's Dylan Goday of the Buccaneers Sports Network. We've got to step aside and take another break. When we come back after the break, we'll have another check of your basketball night scoreboard. That's the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard. We'll also hear from Brad Napper, head coach of the Chapmanville Regional Boys Basketball Team. The Tigers, a big win tonight over Poca. We'll also hear from our resident referee, Bo Anderson. Maybe in the next segment, or two segments, or, there's a long-running joke with that. But all of that and much more. Hour one in the books. Hour two coming up on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
High school basketball's voice in the Mountain State. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen in on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including our newest affiliates tonight, the Valley's Watchdog, 1600 AM, WKKS in Wheeling, 1370 AM, WVLY Moundsville, Jackson County's home for Southern Gospel, Singing News Radio, 92.5 FM WTHM-LP, Ravenswood, Ripley, Knights Radio, 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn, Talk Radio, WRNR, Martinsburg, 740 AM, 106.5 FM, Classic Hits 106, WHFI, Linside, 106.7 FM, 95, The Sports Fox, WBES Charleston, 950 AM, 101.9 FM, 1290 AM, WVLW Logan, Light Rock 93R, WRRR St. Mary's 93.9 FM, The Ticket 102.3 FM, WMTD in Hinton, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM, WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM, WYAPLP in Clay, and Marshall University's flagship station, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night in the Huntington region on Comcast, Channel 25 statewide on Network West Virginia on Suddenlink. Streaming online high-definition video can also be found on our website at basketballnight.com.
Welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. To join tonight's program, call 855-78-HOOPS. That's 855-784-6677. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup for all the scores all the time. And visit basketballnight.com for a comprehensive look at schedules and standings for every team in the state. Stay tuned. Another hour of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia begins right now.
This is Hour 2 of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville. Happy to have you along as we make our way through the opening Friday night of the boys' season. This is the second Friday night for the girls' basketball season. Their calendar begins a week earlier. 1 week now removed from the Super Six, and it's right in the basketball season and a full slate of games across the Mountain State. For many, it's their favorite time of year. It's one of my favorite times of year. I love all the sports. I'll be honest with you, too. I love all the sports. We host a radio show that's basketball related. I love football. I love baseball. I love the state tournaments.
You like volleyball?
I do. I do like volleyball.
I went to my first high school girls volleyball recently and really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I was really shocked.
The athleticism is a lot better than what you might think when you go in.
And the growing sport in this state high school wise is swimming. Swimming. Soccer too, but swimming is getting big around the state.
Yeah, and it's incredible to me that in a state with shrinking population, there are probably more kids getting college opportunities through athletics now than at any other time. There have been some big names in the past. I don't know that we have that big name right now in high school. Maybe we do somewhere, but that'll play out over time. But we have a lot of kids that are getting opportunities at the next level. But you're here for basketball. You're here for basketball scores. In a moment, we'll talk with Brad Napper, head coach of the Chapmanville boys basketball team. We'll also talk about Anderson, our resident referee. But first, it's time for another check of our Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard. Bill, you got the boys.
I got the boys, and we start off with the Elkins Tigers meeting Magnolia this evening, and Elkins gets the win over the Blue Eagles of Magnolia 65-46. Grab the Bearcats. They lose a close one to Ripley 55-54. Big win tonight for the Chapmanville Tigers. Of course, we're going to talk to Coach Napper of Chapmanville momentarily. Chapmanville beat Polka 86-41. The Lincoln Cougars are winners tonight over Braxton County's Eagles 66-62. University beat Buchanan Upshur 78-53. A couple of AAA teams going at it there. Buffalo gets a win tonight over the Wahama White Falcons 46-41. Charleston Catholic, they opened the season 51-43 winners over the Sherman Tide. Fayetteville gets a win tonight over Meadow Bridge 62-58. Close game. Final from down in Fairleigh, West Virginia. Hurricane knocks off the Greenbrier East Spartans 77-75. Greenbrier West went over Independence tonight 50-43. It was North Marion 74, Liberty Harrison 45. Shady Spring Tigers get a win tonight over Liberty Raleigh 94-37. It was Van 72, Lincoln County 68. Logan Wildcats beat Scott tonight 92-70. Morgantown over Preston 57-34. Mountain View beat Riverview 67-49. Nitro victorious over Nicholas County 75-69. Oak Hill all over Pikeville, Pikeview that is, 93-34. Parkersburg falls to Musselman this evening 56-50. It was Philip Barber beating Parkersburg Catholic 37-25. Actually, that's a halftime score. Ritchie County falls to Ravenswood 84-35. Valley Fayette beats Webster County 67-53. Brook Falls to Fairmont Senior, 87-35. And it was Silver Oak Academy in Maryland losing to the Hedgesville Eagles, 60-33.
Now taking a look at the girls' side of the scoreboard tonight. In a tournament up in Williamstown, it was Wheeling Central defeating the Polka Dots 92-54. In the game we talked about earlier down at Tulsa, George Washington defeated Wayne 57-54. It was Summers County, the Bobcats, down the Mavericks of James Monroe 60-39. Moorfield defeated the East Hardy Cougars 42-28. The Tyler Consol Knights over St. Mary's 61-47. Midland Trail down the Lumberjacks of Richwood 77-45. Shady Spring fell to Riverview tonight 75-26. It was the Renegades West Side down the Man Hillbillies 62-32. East Fairmont fell to Hurricane tonight 82-44. And it was Ambassador Christian over Tug Valley 50-43. And that's a look at your Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard.
We'll get used to that. We appreciate the Marshall University Sports Journalism as well for sponsoring the scoreboard, and we'll smoothen that out as we get used to it. Habits die hard. 4 years worth of doing it one way, and
now they've changed.
Now we're working on it, but we promise to do better again. We thank them for that. Brad Napper is the head coach of the Chapmanville boys basketball team. The Tigers made it all the way to the AA state championship game last year before falling to Fairmont Senior in a very good ball game, but Fairmont Senior able to get that win last year. Chapmanville opens the season tonight with a win at the Dot Dome over Polka by a final of 86-41, a 45-point road victory. Coach Napper joins us now. First off, Coach, congratulations on your victory tonight. Coach Napper, do you hear us?
Yes, I hear you.
There we go. All right. Coach Napper, congratulations on your team's victory tonight over Polka.
Thank you very much. It was it's actually the first time I've ever won there as a head coach. So it was a pretty sweet victory.
Let's just say there are a lot of coaches in West Virginia that have played there and not won. So that's definitely, again, I know they're in a rebuild, but still, that's an impressive victory tonight. I know that's your first game out this year. Your thoughts on how your team performed?
I thought we were pretty good. We had some defensive breakdowns, especially early in the game, but overall, I was pretty pleased. We had a lot of energy. Our guys came off the bench early in the game and gave us a really good spark when we were struggling a little bit in the first quarter. And it was just a great overall team win, and I was pretty proud of the guys.
Well, expectations have risen there. Expectation seems to be the word of the night so far. And with what that ball club did a year ago, having the talent coming back, there are teams out there that are going to that are going to challenge you, long before Charleston. I know that's a long way off, and I know as a coach you're probably taking it practice by practice at this point still. But how have you managed those expectations, especially with a kid like Drew Williamson in his senior year? And obviously he's not the only one who's a big factor for your club.
Yeah, it's we talk to the guys almost daily. That you got a target on your back now, and people know who we are now and know about our guys, and we're going to get most people's best shot every night, and getting the guys. You got to come out ready to play each and every night, and come to practice and work and try to get better. And we saw a lot of things tonight that we need to improve on and get better at, but and that's the key, I think, is you just keep improving throughout the year and try to be playing your best basketball season in March. Your best, to play your best at March.
Coach, it's Joe Linville. Again this year, the Cardinal Conference is a very talented bunch of ball clubs. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our conference, it's brutal. It really is. And our, talking about tournament-wise, our section and region, is really, really good. You talk about, Mingo Central. Come out third in the polls, and they're very, very good. And and Logan's very good. Winfield's very good. Nitro's going to surprise a lot of people this year. I think they got a really good ball club. Polka's going to be really good, I think, towards the end of the year. They got some young kids, but they have some guys that's going to be really good players, and I think you'll see Polka continue to improve throughout the year. There is really no bad ball clubs in our conference.
How do you take?
I think
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, how do you continue to ride that momentum from hitting that final game last year, through the off season, and continue that momentum as you start into a new season?
Well, I mean, I think our guys got a little taste of what it feels like to play in that state championship game, and they've been really incredibly good about working hard in the off season, especially after our run last year. They've pretty much lived in the weight room. They've gotten a lot better. A lot of our young kids have really improved, and I think our young guys are going to surprise a lot of people this year. Guys that played some last year that are stepping up this year, and they're a lot better players. They're a lot bigger. They're a lot stronger. And I think our guys got a little taste of that last year, and they've worked really hard to try to get back to that level. And hopefully, like I said, we can continue to improve and maybe have a chance to go back to the state tournament and try to win the last game this time.
You've got 6'9" sophomore forward named Obina Anachili Killen. I was really hoping I could sucker you into saying that name before I did, but nonetheless,
you did a good job, Ryan.
Not bad for a first effort. But he's getting Division I looks already. How has he handled that? I know that can be a lot to throw on a young man.
He's actually very good with it. He's a very humble kid. He works extremely hard. I mean, people that seen him last year play, and you're going to see a whole different guy this year. I mean, he's 25 pounds heavier. He's grew a couple inches. So he just looks a lot better if you just look at him, and he works extremely hard in the weight room, and he's always, wanting to go in the gym and shoot and work on his game. And he's played a lot of AAU ball this summer and in the spring, and, he's a much improved player, especially offensively. I think tonight he only missed one shot tonight. I think he had 18 points. And, so he was pretty good tonight, and he played less than half a game. So, I think he's going to surprise a lot of people this year.
Well, the Tigers 1-0 now. Play again next Friday night against Scott on the road. Coach Brad Napper of the Chapmanville Regional Tigers Boys Basketball Club. Always appreciate you talking with us when we get a chance, and certainly wish you the best throughout the season, and I'm sure we'll be catching up again before too awful long.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, once again, that's Coach Brad Napper. Let's go right back to the phones. Bo Anderson in a moment, but first, Bill Nestor is the voice of the Robert C. Byrd Flying Eagles of WPDX in Clarksburg. He joins us now. Bill, welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Guys, I've been waiting for this for quite some time. Looking forward to talking with you guys on a weekly basis. And it's Christmas early for me, guys.
You don't miss football?
I do miss football. I had a chance to do something, but football is exciting. Love it. But, talking to you guys, it's fantastic. I mean, it is a Friday night thrill for me each and every week. There's no doubt about it.
I'll tell you, we've kind of all developed our own family here at Basketball Friday Night with all the folks who are throughout the state that we get a chance to talk to. Sometimes every Friday night, sometimes a couple of Friday nights. Every now and then it's just somebody you just talk to or you run into out and about. But Robert C. Byrd last year fell in the regional final, an emotional regional final against Herbert Hoover in a game at George Washington. I know that you were kind enough to come on and talk with us after that game about your perspective from that game. That was a very special game for the Elkview and Falling Rock and Clendenin communities after all they went through a year ago with the flooding. But for Robert C. Byrd, new year and a ball club that opens up tomorrow with Brooke. What are the expectations for the Eagles this year?
Well, there's a lot of optimism coming into this season. RCB returns 4 full-time starters and another player that had a chance to start periodically throughout the season. So they've got a lot of experience coming back. All those guys coming back averaged 5.5 points or more, which is good because you've got a good mix of post players and perimeter players that can score in different situations. So there's not really one guy to key on, which is a good thing in terms of being able to get some things going offensively. For this team this year, guys, I think the big thing for them is to be able to put points on the board. Last year, RCB 9-2 when they could score 60 points or more. So once they got the offense rolling, things went well. Last year, not as deep as what we've seen from the Flying Eagle squad in years past. This year, you look at some newcomers coming in, and head coach Bill Bennett's got an opportunity to do what he likes to do best, which is to press full court, to get an up-tempo game the entire time, to try to wear teams down, and most importantly, to try to get some easy buckets in transition so he gets those numbers up. So a lot of optimism about what he has coming in and the players that fit the mold that he likes to play and the style that he wants to see on the floor. So, yeah, everybody's excited about what should be a great year for this Flying Eagle team.
Should be a lot of fun. I know that a little bit of a late start. I mean, yeah, the boys' season started Tuesday, starting, on Saturday for Robert C. Byrd. But let's look for a moment here, and unfortunately we don't have too much time, but we can talk about this here a little bit. The Big Ten this year, I think Fairmont Senior is obviously the favorite in that conference and in that area. North Marion has hopes for a good season as well in that area. And beyond that, though, I mean, Robert C. Byrd and North Marion, I think, are right there for trying to find a place in behind Fairmont Senior, at least going into the year. And with all the experience that Byrd has back, I mean, if that team continues to grow and progress throughout the season, you get Byrd in a one-game scenario, that can be a rough night.
Ron, I agree with you. And really, RCB would have started tonight, actually. They've been a part of this Polar Bear tip-off at Fairmont Senior the last several years, but they had a team that kind of pulled out of that at the last minute. So that's why RCB doesn't play tonight. They play tomorrow. So I had a chance to go over and take a look at that Fairmont Senior team you just mentioned, and they are lights out. They handled Brooke rather easily. I think they had 5 dunks in about a 3-minute span. They look fantastic. Exceptional team, and they're going to be the team to beat in the Big Ten Conference, no doubt about it. You mentioned North Marion. They've got one of the best centers in the state, a Division I prospect, and they're going to go through him offensively and defensively. He's just a paint dominator. So you got to find a way to score some points against that Husky team. And then the rest of the Big Ten is talented, but RCB right there with the rest of those squads. And so it's going to be a deep Big Ten. It's going to be a trying year. But you look at it and you say, well, it's all a measuring stick anyway. It's all in preparation for the postseason. And so for RCB, they couldn't be in a better place in a very good, solid Big Ten this year.
And Bill, the club, they really jump into it pretty quickly because there's 7 games scheduled this month alone. They're not easing their way into the schedule. And included in this December schedule are big rivalry games of East Fairmont and, of course, Bridgeport Senior.
You're exactly right. Those rivalry games bring out the best in everyone. And, it's for RCB, those rivalry games seem to bring in the crowds. In the last few years, guys, the crowds have been a little bit lower than they'd like. So when you get those rivalry games, those players get a chance to see what it's like to play with the stress and the pressure, and to do it early in the year, I think that's a great thing for a lot of these younger guys. And then you throw in a game, you've got Oak Hill coming to town as well, and some other teams that are going to be right there in the mix. So, yeah, it's going to be a very busy December, and it'll give Coach Bennett a chance to see where his team's at. And the interesting thing with this Flying Eagle team is that you're looking at 3 or 4 freshmen that could potentially get a truckload of minutes. And depending on how they respond, everybody looks good in practice. But when you tip it up and you play in a varsity game, in the prime time, then you find out what you've got. And so he's looking at different combinations with a lot of these freshmen, and getting this many games in early, fellas, gives them an opportunity to see who's going to be able to step up and produce when you need him come game time. And then he's going to make some adjustments from there. But, Joe, when you've got so many games early like this, it's exciting to see, really to see where you're at and what you need to work on and what you need to improve on. So it should be an interesting December here.
Hey, Bill, this is Joe Linville. Real quickly, you was talking about those dunks by Fairmont. I looked up their roster 3 of their starters are 6'2", 6'5", 6'6". High school.
They're huge, Joe. Yeah,
I can see
and
that.
Joe, they get off the floor too. Joe, let me tell you right now, these guys have incredible verticals. They're athletic, they're long, they're strong. They don't have the big girth inside, but they're all basketball players in terms of their abilities. But they lack a true post player right now, currently, obviously with coming off that playoff run in football. But you're right, they're long, they're athletic, and the thing that they do, and I credit Coach Retton for what he's done with this group. He extends the game. When you play a full court press like Fairmont Senior does, he is able to pressure, and no pass is easy. Just to get into an offensive set is difficult for teams, and to get a good look is even harder than that. So it just becomes a chore. It takes a lot of energy away from teams, and really, if he decides to put his foot on the gas and pressure full court the entire game with the depth he has, he wears teams down. And we saw it last year. It's their blueprint for success, and I think they're going to continue. Based on what I saw against Brook tonight, they're going to do the same thing. And those guys that looked great last year look even better because they've hit the weight room. So they're looking really good here early on. And the big thing for a team like Fairmont Senior guys is making sure that everybody gets opportunities to get on the floor and that your players get touches and shots so that everybody stays in tune with what's going on. I mean, that's the biggest problem for Coach Retton, which I guess is really a good problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah. I think he'll accept that as a problem and just he'll work through it. He'll manage. Yeah. Bill, always a pleasure.
Guys, thank you so much for having me on. Have a great rest of the show. Look forward to talking to you next Friday.
Thank you very much. That's Bill Nestor, WPDX in Clarksburg, the voice of the Robert C. Byrd Flying Eagles. We'll step aside, take a break. When we come back, our resident referee, Bo Anderson's on hold. I didn't say we talked to him. I say he's on hold.
he's there.
But we do want to talk to him about points of emphasis this year, things that you might see that are a little bit different on the floor. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's no better place to be than right here. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Have someone remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? You can nominate your team's players to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab, fill out the nomination form, we'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. Check it out at basketballnight.com. Also, another feature we have, it's the Daily Hoops Roundup, part of basketballnight.com. Every day we recap the day's scores just for you on all the teams in West Virginia. We send followers a tweet at midnight with a link to the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can also visit basketballnight.com and just click on Daily Hoops Roundup for all the day's scores. We'd like you to become part of our score reporting crew during the week, too. Send us your team scores by Twitter, text, or email, and we'll make that part of our Daily Hoops Roundup. We want you to be part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. On Twitter, @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. You can email scores@basketballnight.com, scores@basketballnight.com. You can also send us a text with scores to 304-249-4924. 304-249-4924. Text your scores there. Check it out, basketballnight.com. The Daily Hoops Roundup.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:24 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville with you. Rick Marone is coaching. Yes. And the Barbara J. Marone, key player.
That's why they call him
shootout.
Coach Rick Marone.
That's right. Yeah, I mean that's not just an honorary title. He is the head coach of the Tulsa Lady Rebels, and they're hosting their tournament tonight and tomorrow. I believe they're playing Lawrence County, Kentucky tonight, and that's always a little bit of a cross-river rivalry.
A border battle.
Yes. And ironically, Lawrence County High School is closer to Fort Gay than Tulsa High School is to Fort Gay, West Virginia, which is where a bulk of the Tulsa students come from, is from that area. But there's your little geography lesson for the day. Let's go back to the phone lines, and we're not going to make him wait any longer. At only 30 minutes, our resident referee, Bo Anderson, joins us. You're on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Bo, welcome back to the program.
Well, Ryan, it's a good thing that you weren't going to make me wait, because I'm sitting here in the car at a restaurant while my buddies are in there eating, and I'm hungry.
Did you tell them what you wanted to order?
Well, no, because I was afraid by the time I got done telling them what I wanted to order, it'd be cold.
Bo, every year there are different points of emphasis. And first off, I want to say Bo Anderson is an official, calls games in West Virginia, Ohio throughout the course of the season, and is kind enough to take his time out to talk with us about any rules, interpretations. We don't get into good call, bad call. We get into more or less game administration standpoint. Officials have a lot on their plates. I don't know if people realize just how much they have to do over the course of a game and just how much they kind of oversee. But Bo always kind enough to join us and answer our questions, and sometimes pose questions, and sometimes talk about the things that he's run across while he's been out calling 4 or 5 games or more in a given week. And first question, Bo, any points of emphasis this year that we need to know about?
Well, the things you're going to see new, there's 2 or 3 new things this year. Nothing that anybody would really stand out, but one of the things is the coaching box is extended. It's now 28 feet, so it goes from the end line up to where the old hash mark would have been. So now they have a whole 28 feet that they can coach in. And, that's not anything major, but that's something that, you might notice they're allowed a little bit more now. One of the new things is warning the coach now. You don't have to as an official, but you can actually sound the whistle during the game and give a warning to the coach for being out of the box, for, whatever, sportsmanship on the bench, whatever it may be. You can warn a coach now and give them 1 warning per game if you want to. That doesn't mean you have to. If it's bad enough and you think you need to call the technical, then we can actually call the technical foul without a warning. That's just something they put in there new. A mechanic thing that you'll see the officials doing now that is new is we'll now report fouls with 2 hands. That's been coming for a long time. So, it's a lot more clear to the scores table. It's a lot more clear to the bookkeepers. And it's a lot more clear to everybody. I like that change. That's a change that I think is overdue for a long time. We don't modern ourselves after the NBA, but the NBA's been doing it for years. The college women went to it, and then sometimes in the men's, I think that goes kind of conference by conference. But most of the time now you'll see 2-hand reporting, but in high school that is a new mechanic for us. That's about your basic changes that if you really know the game, you might see a difference. If not, you're not going to see a whole lot of difference except for somebody blows the whistle and announces a warning on that particular coach for a particular team.
Well, I do have 2 questions, and these are just things that I noticed, and it relates to what you're talking about. I've only been able to make it to 1 high school game so far this year, but I did notice the 2 hands to signify the number on the foul. If the number's in single digits, are you still told to hold up a fist for a 0?
Well, no. That should just be number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. That should just be 1 hand. It's only when it's a double digit. Now you would have, you can either have on your team 0 or double 0. if you have double zero, obviously you would report, 2 zeros on both hands. If you have a single zero, it'd be 0. But on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that's just a one-hand signal.
All right, because I did see a two-hand signal on that, and that was what kind of caught my attention on that. And again, it's early in the season. Everybody's getting used to it. So
yeah, you got guys that's called for a long time, and they're just now getting, in the train of thought of it. And a lot of those scrimmages, they don't keep books or anything, so they really don't get to practice it that much in those scrimmages that they're working. And I'm very fortunate that I've adopted the changes very quickly. Of course, I'm starting my 35th year here, so I've seen a lot of changes.
Well, Bill Cornwell here. Number one, I am so happy about the two-hand thing because these guys were showing a hand, showing a number, and then turning a fist and trying to show the other number. Sometimes you couldn't see the number. So I love the two-hand foul thing. Another thing that I see that I know that officials have to watch for, I've noticed in both the high school and the college game, even already this year, there's a lot of kids that will check into the game, will not check in with the scorekeeper. They will literally walk off the bench onto the court. And, I mean, that's obviously something you officials have to watch for.
Oh, certainly, yeah. We try to, especially early in the year, kids get excited. The coach tells them to get in, and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
And we try to, as long as they don't get out there and are participating and we don't have any issues, we try to get them to stop and get to the table and report like they should. We work on that all, especially early on in the year. Usually it gets better by the end. I haven't really had that yet. Most generally they will get to the table, or we'll try to assist them to the table. But that's one of those things where, they get ready to get in the game. And then sometimes, and we have to work on our timers. When we're reporting a foul and there's subs there, they need to wait till we finish all our report, and then we'll get the sub in. We're not going to play till we put the ball in play. And sometimes they get a little impatient and want to run out there before we actually beckon them in, and we got to send them back and say, hang on just a minute till we get finished, and then we'll get you in the game. We know you want in there.
And my final question, Bo, and I apologize that we're running a little bit tight on time here, is you mentioned the coach's box. Now, the extension of that coach's box was toward the baseline, correct?
Yeah, down to the end line, 28 foot. Now, you have some odd gyms where it's going to be hard to mark that off. So, you're going to have a little bit. Your coaching box is going to look a little odd, but you actually have a 28-foot coach's box that should start from the end line and work towards, the court. But, in some cases, that's not always going to be because the gyms are a little bit crazy when it comes to how they were designed, and some of them are so old that they weren't even thinking of coaches' boxes back then. So that makes it a little bit tough for some. But yes, it starts the end line, works its way up 28 feet, and that's where your coach's box should be.
And I only bring that up because I know you're familiar with the setup at Wayne, and I did public address for a game at Wayne, and one of the coaches from the opposite side actually passed me up while coaching, and I was very confused.
And blocking your
view.
And
no one said anything. And now I still think that he was beyond the box, but that did happen, and I was very much like, what just happened here?
Well, they should not be, unless it's really, they should not be in front of the scorer's table. Now, that's a definite no-no. And there really is not much exception to that at all. I do know a couple gyms where if they put 28 foot, it would be in front of the scorer's table. But, and as officials, we're not going to catch everything, obviously. We've got a game to watch. The coaches get excited. They do get out. If we see them get out, we can try to talk them back into the box. If they're out bad enough, we can hit the whistle and say, okay, warning for the coach being out of the box. Or, we can immediately call the technical if we want to. We look at it from the standpoint of, we know they're going to get excited coaching as long as they're not fussing at us. We can talk them back into the box, use a little what I always teach in the officials class, common sense, and try to get them back in there and tell them to stay in there. And then, if they want to continue to get out, fine. But, we're not going to see them all the time because, we've got a game to referee too. But when we catch it, we got to move them back because, they can't be in front of the scores table. It's hard enough for the scorekeepers and the timers to be able to see the game sometimes to start with, depending on the position of the table. So we've got to be able to get them back in their box, and it's definite now that they've got 28 feet to work with.
All right, that's our resident referee, Bo Anderson. Always appreciate him taking his time out to talk with us. We've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll have another check of your Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard. Also, we'll talk with David Hall, WDMX Mix 100, Williamstown boys and girls basketball, when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Thanks for calling in. Call us toll free tonight, 855-784-6677. We want to hear from you and about your teams and your game. Does showing up for work at a ballpark or an arena sound good to you? A Marshall University sports journalism degree can get you there. Sports journalism at Marshall is important. It's serious and it's big business. Sports media and communications careers are some of the most competitive and marketable worldwide in a multi-billion-dollar industry. We'll prepare you to think critically, report accurately, and artfully tell the stories on and off the field or court. If this sounds like you, the Marshall School of Journalism is ready and eager to start your journey. Learn more at marshall.edu/SOJMC. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family, of course. Thanks to all of our new followers. We've got tons of them. We appreciate that. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Tweet us your team's score. Give us your comments on the game at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. And all those pictures, if you're watching tonight on YouTube, Network West Virginia, or on Comcast, Channel 25 here in the Huntington area, well, those come from you. Send them to us at @hoops_roundup. Shout out to some of our newest followers, including Coach Elliott, Dustin Brown, Jake Graham, the Lady Cardinals, Alan Kyle, Mountain Man, Jenny Ammons, Debbie Cumpston, Mark Hyatt, Rebby Dixon, Dominic, Brendan Blees, Thomas Auto Centers, and Mary Beth Varney Hunt.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:37 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We're running a little bit behind here, so we're going to go fast. It's time for our Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard.
In the boys' side, it was Tyler Consolidated over the Cameron Dragons 64-60. Magnolia fell to Elkin 65-46. Oak Glen over Southside Beaver, Pennsylvania 52-49. In a tight one, it was Ripley over Grafton 55-54. Chapmanville, big winners tonight over Poca 86-41. Braxton County fell to Lincoln 62-66. It was University over Buchanan Upshur 78-53. Buffalo, the Bisons over Wahama 46-41. Charleston Catholic down the Sherman Tide tonight 51-43. It was Fayetteville over Meadowbridge 62-58. And another close one, Hurricane down Greenbrier East, and that game went to overtime 77-75. And Greenbrier West winners tonight over Independence 50-43. Tiger Valley down Harmon 69-37. It was North Marion over Liberty Harrison 74-45. Shady Spring big winners tonight over Liberty Raleigh 94-37. And another close one, it was the Van Bulldogs over the Lincoln County Panthers 72-68. The Wildcats Logan down the Scouts of Scott 92-70. It was the Morgantown Mohegans over Preston tonight 57-34. Riverview fell to Mount View 67-49. Nitro winners tonight over Nicholas County 75-69. Oak Hill, the Red Devils, big winners tonight over Pikeview 93-34. It was Musselman over Parkersburg of Big Reds 56-50. Philip Barber over Parkersburg Catholic 47-39. Ravenswood over Ritchie County 84-35. It was Webster County falling to Valley Fayette 67-53. Brook fell to the Polar Bears of Fairmont Senior 87-35. And it was Hedgesville, big winners tonight, over Silver Oak Academy 60-33.
On the girls' side, start off with the Williamstown tournament. Wheeling Central Catholic all over the Polka Dots, 92-54. In the Tulsa tournament, the Barbara Marone Memorial Tournament, George Washington gets by with a 3-point win, 57-54 over the Wayne Pioneers. Summers County beats James Monroe tonight, 60-39. It was Craig County, Virginia over Montcalm, 46-39. Moorfield over East Hardy, 42-28. This was in the Hardy County Girls Hardwood Classic. Elsewhere, it was Tyler Consolidated beating St. Mary's 61-47. Midland Trail over Richwood 77-45. Riverview over Shady Springs 75-26. Westside beats the Man Hillbillies 62-32. East Fairmont falls to Hurricane 82-44. Big night for Mary Rogaszewski of Hurricane. 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists, so a double-double. Almost a triple-double for Mary Rogaszewski in that one. It was St. Francis, Maryland beating St. Joe 61-20. Spring Valley gets their season started off with a 49-33 win over Ripley. Pocahontas County over Bath County, Virginia 53-14.
And that's a look at the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard.
There you have it in all of its glory tonight. A scoreboard that is filling up, a scoreboard that we're still working to get final scores on. I know a lot of games, you have tournaments, you have some late starts. Hey, we're with you till midnight. If you can finish it before midnight, and let us know. We'll get that score on for you tonight. David Hall, WDMX Mix 100 in Williamstown. He covers Williamstown boys and girls basketball. So kind to hang in with us here tonight. And David.
Great to be here, guys.
Yeah, great to have you. Girls basketball tonight in Williamstown. A couple of big matchups there.
Yeah, the Donnie Fenton Shootout. It's one of the great tournaments every year in Williamstown. And 4 teams were here tonight. Clay County, Lady Panthers, Polka Lady Dots, Wheeling Central, and Williamstown. The guys, the big thing is Wheeling Central, they took on the opening night. They defeated the Polka Dots. They defeated 92-54. I got to tell you, Wheeling Central's got everybody back. Eden Gaynor looks strong tonight, guys. 27 points. The girl can play. Taylor DuPlaga, 18 points. They look really good. And I got to tell you, what's interesting, they won 22 games last year leading into the semifinal state championship. Williamstown, as you can remember, knocked them off for that win. Williamstown wins tonight 83-53. Guys, it sets up a great game tomorrow. About 2:30, we're going to cover that game, the championship game. The Wheeling Central girls will take on the Williamstown Lady Jackets and Fred Sorrow, and we'll be calling. That's going to be a great matchup.
Should be a very, very good game. And, this Williamstown girls team now 2-0 on the season. Obviously a ball club that likes to get up and down the floor. They basically press you from the opening tip sometimes. How about the boys team now? The boys, they're 1-0. They picked up a win over Wood County Christian on Tuesday, 67-33 to the final in that one. And moving into a game with Tyler Consolidated later this week.
Yeah, I tell you, my broadcast partner, you guys may recognize this name, Coach Butch Powell, longtime basketball coach. Old Butch, you know Butch. Everybody knows Butch. So he's with me, and they took on Wood County Christian 67-33. The interesting thing, guys, when have you known 2 sets of brothers playing on a basketball team? Cutright, Carruthers, and Carruthers. Very young basketball team. They have a freshman starting, only the second time ever. A freshman, Xavier Carruthers, started Tuesday night. They have his brother, Boston Crothers, a sophomore. They have, on the other side, they have Cutright and Cutright, a junior and a sophomore. Very young basketball team. They're going to be tested, though, I think, really strong Tuesday night. We're going to go up to Tyler. It was a good game up there. And Rick Leach is coaching up there, so that's going to be fun. We're going to go up there Tuesday night, tip-off at 7:30, Coach Powell and I, so that'll be a good game. And I think that'll be a good test for these young guys.
And jumping right in. I mean, this season is, basketball season is a busy time on the broadcasters, and for you guys, it's almost every night of the week.
It is, and by day I'm a chiropractor, and by night I do the radio. So whatever it takes. And I got to tell you guys, not only do I do the radio, but I do part-time athletic trainer for the kids as well, helping them. But the big thing is they go to Tyler the following Thursday. That Ritchie County comes in. And then after that, it's St. Mary's. And anytime St. Mary's comes in, that's going to be a basketball game. Last year, half-court throw in by St. Mary's. They defeated the Jackets. They went to overtime. So, basketball's getting big in Williamstown. And, sometimes you think of football in Williamstown, but basketball is doing real well. And tomorrow, I got to tell the folks at home what a great game we're going to cover on WDMX Mix 100. We're going to cover the game, the championship Donnie Fenn shootout, the Yellow Jacket girls, and the Wheeling Central Catholic, a good early matchup to see what these two teams have.
That should be a whole lot of fun. David Hall, thank you so much.
Great being a part of you guys, and look forward to this year and hanging out with you. Thanks very much.
Absolutely. Sounds like a lot of fun. David Hall, WDMX Mix 100 in Williamstown. We've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll have Brandon Gregory, WRSG. He broadcasts Tyler Consolidated. We'll talk about the Silver Knights and much more when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We want you to become part of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, and we keep mentioning all those people following us on Twitter. Thanks for doing that. @hoops_roundup. @hoops_roundup. Something else we want you to do, send us pictures from your games, and we will feature them. If you're watching right now on YouTube, Periscope, Network West Virginia, or anywhere we have video, you'll be able to see all those pictures from your games. Send them to us, and we'll put them out there. Hey, don't forget, tonight at midnight, we will have a new poll question. We haven't decided what that is yet, but it's a poll question. You'll have all week to vote in that, and we'll tell you the results at the end of the show next week. A shout out to some of our newest followers, including Jason McGrew, Julia Work, Deanna Stanley, Ido Sol, Jason Whitehead, Sammy Lusk, B.L. Cook, Sean Moran, Tim Rush, David Johnson of the Logan Wildcat basketball team. Thank you very much for following us on Twitter @hoops_roundup. Also following us tonight, Thomas Auto Centers, Mary Beth Varney Hunt, Dave Harvey, Rick Elmore, the University Athletic Department, Alicia Atkins, Stephen Dawson, Joe Wetzel. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. We'd like to hear from you tonight. Call us 855-784-6677.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:48 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Still looking forward to hearing from the Coach Rick Marone a little bit later on. The Lady Rebels of Tulsa High School played tonight in the nightcap of a doubleheader at home in the Barbara J. Marone Key Player Shootout. They lost to Lawrence County. We'll get that in the full scoreboard a little bit later on, but that'll set up Wayne and Tulsa tomorrow in the consolation game, and They'll set up Lawrence County, Kentucky, and George Washington in the championship game tomorrow. So that should be a lot of fun down there at Rebel Arena. Now let's go to Brandon Gregory, WRSG. They cover Tyler Consolidated and the Silver Knights. And Brandon with us now. Brandon, basketball season kind of hits you almost like it hits you with a full court press, because when it's time to go, it's full bore till March.
Yeah, well, and I just finished football season 2 weeks ago, so they texted me Wednesday. I was like, hey, are you ready to do a game on Friday? And I'm like, sure. I completely am caught hard. So, yeah, it was good to get back in tonight, and Tyler Consolidated. The girls went 10 deep and beat St. Mary's 61-47. Joey Walton was big. She had a double-double, points and rebounds. Josie Jones was big, handling the press, or creating pressure, excuse me. And then, the guards, Peyton Coher, did a nice job distributing the basketball. Really good all-around team effort. I mean, these girls play hard. It's a junior-driven group with only one senior. And like I said, they go 10 deep, and they play really hard. And they got a good win tonight. This is a good quality win. You know, St. Mary's is rebuilding a little bit. They're a little bit young. They play a lot of freshmen and sophomores. But anytime you beat St. Mary's and Coach Meeks, it's a big one.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say St. Mary's is a program that was that knocked on the door a couple of times of trying to break through and win a state title. And for Tyler Consolidated to pick up a 14-point win over the Blue Devils tonight is very encouraging for that program. And sometimes they say in football you make your biggest jump between games 1 and 2. And I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, but when it comes to basketball, I don't think that there's any one point in the season where you make that jump. But if you're Tyler Consolidated, after a loss to Parkersburg Catholic on Tuesday in girls basketball, a 28-point loss. And Parkersburg Catholic, by the way, is also really good. But what a great bounce back for that Tyler Consolidated team to get that win tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were down 11-2 about 4 minutes in, and already had 5 or 6 team fouls. May have went into the bonus by that point. And Coach Boggs called a timeout, changed defenses, and they went on a 9-0 run. Actually, it was like a 12-0 run to go ahead. And then, we're up 6 at half, 31-25, and come out and stretch the lead to 14 in the middle of the third quarter, and just kind of held serve the rest of the way. They did a really nice job. Not a lot of when they turned the ball over, it was on stop clocks and stop possessions, so there wasn't a lot of run-outs, and which helped. They still struggle a little bit of handling basketball, but when those turnovers aren't turning into points, that's a good thing. So it worked out well tonight. They rotated well defensively. They were able to get some run-outs, because St. Mary's is very young, and basketball guys know the last thing kids learn is rotations defensively. So, to get to get the jump on them and go out and get some layups, get some easy shots, really kind of help the girls' confidence. And they battled. They battled really hard. Joey Walton was in on, it seemed like every tip ball around the bucket. She was in on it. Every defensive and offensive rebound, she was at least getting her hands on it, or getting a hand on it, or tip or something. So this is going to be a pretty good group, I think.
Should be a lot of fun this year. Brandon, we appreciate you calling and look forward to talking with you again throughout the season.
Yeah, well, I'm just glad I didn't have to follow Jerry West or, anybody like that this time. So, good.
Hey,
good.
You just keep waiting. Later in the year, we'll get you again.
You are the Will Wheaton to my Sheldon Cooper, my friend.
there you go. That's Brandon Gregory, WRSG, throwing out a Big Bang reference there right at the end. Let's go back to the phones, and we have a few minutes here. We'll go to Sam Blizzard after the break, but before that, let's go to Lance Sutherland, the head coach of the Hurricane Redskins. Hurricane picks up a nice win tonight, spoils things for Bimbo Coles and company with Greenbrier East as Hurricane gets that win tonight. And Coach Sutherland, a very nice very nice win for your ball club tonight.
Yes, it was. It didn't look like it was going to happen, but yes, it turned out to be a very nice one.
77-75 the final in that one, and we were tracking that game along. It seemed like Greenbrier East had I won't say a comfortable lead, but had a pretty good advantage at times into double figures, but your club able to hang around, and push past them at the end with the late run.
Yeah, well, we were down by 21 at the middle of the third quarter, and then we were down 16 going into the fourth quarter. They were shooting lights out. The Lemons kid nailed 7 or 8 threes against us, and we just we started pressing at the beginning of the fourth quarter and just chipped away and finally got back to we got at single digits, and then it was just game on from there. They missed some foul shots, and we made some foul shots, and that's what happened.
So as a coach, what do you take from this game? Do you take that from the first 2.5 quarters? There's a lot to work on. From the last quarter and a half, I mean, you guys were obviously very good.
I take a lot from the first part of the game because we have a whole lot to work on. They played great the last quarter, but we can't get down 20 points to anybody on our schedule and expect to win. I mean, tonight was one of those nights that we were able to do it, but on Friday against Capital, we get down by 21, we'll get beat by 50. So we've got to improve on running our offense, getting in the steps we need to set, take care of the ball, and handle the pressure better because we didn't handle their pressure very good at the beginning of the game.
Lance, Bill Cornwell here. Congratulations on getting down there and getting a win down in Fairleigh, my friend. And, boy, it's this section that you're in. Boy, it's going to be another dogfight. Probably you and Huntington, probably the two best teams. But Spring Valley started off with a win the other night over Ironton. And who knows what Midland's going to have with new coach and Rick Chafin.
Exactly. Like I said, and by the way, I'm used to hearing you in the morning. It's kind of
I know. I know. I hope you're still getting all the answers to our questions. Lance is listening to my morning show, so there you go.
Yeah, I was waiting for a question so I could try to answer it. But yeah, I mean, it's it's the same thing. It'll be interesting with Spring Valley. I don't, when the football players get there and they get going, they're going to be tough. They're always tough. Maynard does such a great job with them, and every night when you play them, it's a dogfight. And yeah, I'm interested to hear about Capital Midland because I have no idea. They got Greenbrier East tomorrow night, so that will be interesting to see how that compares.
Should be a lot of fun. Should be another good season for Hurricane. Coach Lance Sutherland, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good evening.
Thanks, you too. Lance Sutherland making the trip back from Fairleigh tonight to Hurricane off I-64.
But it's a happy trip, though, because I'll tell you what, Lance is one of the best coaches in the state and just gets so much out of those kids at Hurricane.
We definitely appreciate him talking with us. That's 2 hours in the books already, guys. Already. 1 hour to go. When we come back, we'll have another check of the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard. And we'll talk with Sam Blizzard, WELD in Hardy County, as East Hardy and Moorfield tangled on the court in girls basketball tonight. That's when basketball Friday night in West Virginia continues on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including our newest affiliates tonight, the Valley's Watchdog, 1600 AM WKKS in Wheeling, 1370 AM WVLY Moundsville, Jackson County's home for the Southern Gospel, Singing News Radio, 92.5 FM WTHM LP Ravenswood Ripley, Knights Radio, 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn, Talk Radio, WRNR, Martinsburg, 740 AM, 106.5 FM, Classic Hits 106, WHFI Linside, 106.7 FM, 95 The Sports Fox, WBES Charleston, 950 AM, 101.9 FM, 1290 AM, our old friends WVOW Logan, Light Rock 93R WRRR, St. Mary's 93.9 FM. The Ticket 102.3 FM WNTD in Hinton, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZ LP Edmond, Beckley, and 101.7 FM WYAP LP in Clay. And Marshall University's flagship station, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night in the Huntington region on Comcast Channel 25 and throughout the state of West Virginia on Suddenlink's Network West Virginia. We're also streaming online high-definition video. Can be found on our website, basketballnight.com.
Welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. To join tonight's program, call 855-78-HOOPS. That's 855-784-6677. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup for all the scores all the time. And visit basketballnight.com for a comprehensive look at schedules and standings for every team in the state. Stay tuned. Another hour of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia begins right now.
It's 11 o'clock on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville with you. We'll get to Sam Blizzard in just a moment. He's been so kind to hold on. We'll get to him in just a minute. But right now, it is time for the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard. Bill Cornwell will turn you loose with the boys' scores. Joe, we'll let you have the girls.
Well, we got a bunch of them as far as the guys are concerned. Tyler Consolidated, first off, gets a win tonight over Cameron, 64-60. It was Magnolia falling to Elkins by a score of 65-46. Oak Glen beats Southside Beaver, Pennsylvania, 52-49. Ripley Vikings winners tonight over the Grafton Bearcats, 55-54. Chapmanville more than doubles up the Polka Dots, 86-41. It was Lincoln County Lincoln over Braxton County, 66-62. University Hawks victorious over the Buchanan Upshur Buccaneers, 78-53. The Buffalo Bison beat Wahama, 46-41. Sherman Tide fall to Charleston Catholic, 51-43. Fayetteville gets the season started with a win over Meadow Bridge, 62-58. Greenbrier East losing a close one to the Hurricane Redskins, 77-75. Hurricane wins that one on the road. Greenbrier West, they are winners over Independence, 50-43. Tigers Valley beats Harmon, 69-37. North Marion Huskies victorious over Liberty Harrison, 74-45. It was Shady Spring over Liberty Raleigh, 94-37. Van beat Lincoln County, 72-68. Logan Wildcats take care of the Scott Skyhawks, 92-70. It was Craig County, Virginia beating Montcalm, 46-39. Preston loses to Morgantown, 57-34. Mountain View beats Riverview, 67-49. Nitro victorious over Nicholas County, 75-69. Oak Hill beats Pikeview, 93-34. Parkersburg falls to Musselman, 56-50. Philip Barber, 61. Parkersburg Catholic, 56. Pocahontas County beat Bath County, Virginia. This one almost a skunk, 53-14. Ravenswood beats Ritchie County, 84-35. It was Valley Fayette over Webster County, 67-53. Fairmont Senior takes care of Brook, 87-35. And finally, it's Hedgesville, 60. Silver Oak Academy, Maryland, 33.
On the girls' side of the scoreboard, it was Wheeling Central over the Polka Dots tonight, 92-54. That was up in Williamstown at a tournament. Then it was the Wayne Pioneers falling by 3 to George Washington in the tournament we talked about, the Barbara Marone tournament down in Tulsa. The Mavericks of James Monroe fell to Summers County tonight, 60-39. It was Craig County, Virginia over Montcalm, 46-39. Moorfield down East Hardy, 42-28. Tyler Consolidated over the Blue Devils of St. Mary's 61-47. Midland Trail down Richwood tonight 77-45. It was Lawrence County, Kentucky taking down the Tulsa Rebels 51-35. Lawrence County will meet George Washington in the championship game tomorrow in that tournament. It was the Riverview Raiders over Shady Spring tonight 75-26. Westside down Man 62-32. Hurricane, the Redskins over East Fairmont 82-44. St. Francis, Maryland over St. Joe 61-20. That is a final score. Spring Valley down to Ripley tonight 49-33. Pocahontas County defeated the Bath County, Virginia 53-14. And that's a look at your Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard.
And Joe, I'm like you. I had to do a double take on that Huntington St. Joe score, but that is legit. They are playing in an event in Washington, D.C., and they did indeed lose to that St. Francis, Maryland team. Obviously, got to be a pretty good one, 61-20, and they're playing Georgetown Prep tomorrow.
Also, a boys score just in. Brook Point, D.C., the Blackhawks defeat Spring Mills 60-40. That game played at Musselman tonight. Let's go back to the phone. Sam Blizzard, WELD in Hardy County. He had the East Hardy Moorfield girls game tonight. He joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And Sam, we joked about it last year. It feels like just about every Friday night, East Hardy and Moorfield get together on the basketball court in either boys or girls action. Tonight, the girls do battle, and it was a victory for the Yellow Jackets.
It was a 14-point spread there at the end, Ryan, but it was basically a 5 to 7 point game through most of the game. East Hardy did not score in the first quarter, but amazingly, going into the half, they were only down, I believe, 6 points. Just a scrappy, tough game both ways. Lindsey Rinker, who I believe was one of the players of the week there towards the end of last season as a freshman, 16 points tonight for Moorfield to lead the attack.
It should be still always an interesting season. Moorfield last year had the heartbreaking finish against Union.
Yes.
The half-court shot that went in, that was ruled good. We looked at it. We looked at the video. It probably was late, but it was bang bang. It was tough to tell. But at the same time, that Moorfield ball club obviously kind of having to rebound from that this year, and that can leave a bad taste in your mouth in the all season. And they were able to come out, like you said, and get the win tonight.
Absolutely. And going into tonight's game, East Hardy had already picked up 2 wins on the season. East Hardy had defeated Berkeley Springs and Petersburg, 2 AA clubs. So, it could have been a little bit of fatigue there towards the end of this one there for East Hardy. Julia Hahn led them with 14 points. But, we've had Petersburg on the boys' side. They've defeated a AAA Hampshire club over here this week. East Hardy with the win over Paw Paw. So, it's here. Basketball season's upon us, Ryan.
Hey, and next Friday night, boys basketball, Moorfield and East Hardy.
Absolutely. We probably could have just left the table setting up where we were broadcasting tonight. And actually, I tuned in a little while ago. We had Mr. Anderson, the official, on, and the call that he was talking about where they blow the whistle and go over and warn one of the coaches, we actually saw that in this game tonight.
That's something and that's different, and that's clearly different because anytime before when the whistle is blown to stop play while a coach is arguing and it has to do with that, it's resulted in a technical foul. Did that create any confusion tonight?
Basically, probably just for me trying to broadcast it. But the gentleman that was helping me broadcast, he is a former official, and he kind of looked at me and said, "That's odd. Usually during the game when that whistle blows, that's pretty much an automatic technical on the coach." But we were kind of scratching our head, wondering why it wasn't. But now we know.
Hey. And that is why we do Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Educational.
Hey, we try to check all the boxes, so to speak, and and that we're going to praise Bo a little bit. He probably can't hear us, thank goodness. But
he's still eating.
Yeah, but that to me, that's something that really is different about this show, is that we give you access to an official who can explain things such as that, and I don't know that you would necessarily get that anywhere else.
No, definitely not. It would be kind of nice with a lot of the fans would listen in and, maybe make it a little bit easier on these officials during the games.
It's a hard enough job as is.
Absolutely.
Sam Blizzard, WELD in Hardy County. Always a pleasure. Always good to talk with you. Hope things are going well with you up there, and look forward to talking with you again as we move throughout this 2017-2018 season.
Absolutely. Next Friday night after Moorfield East Hardy boys once again.
Yeah, that's right. There's Sam Blizzard, WELD Radio. And we have a few moments here, guys. I want to mention a couple of things. First off, if you have a score that we don't have, easiest way to get in touch with us is on Twitter. Just tweet us the score at @hoops_roundup is our Twitter handle. You can send us final scores, send us videos, pictures from your game. We have a staff that does a phenomenal job of integrating all those elements, not only through social media, but also into this broadcast as well. Can't thank them enough for the work that they do. Also, I want to remind you, we've had a couple of submissions. We aren't doing it this week. We'll start next week, I believe. But with our Standout Athlete of the Week, you can make those submissions online, basketballnight.com. You can follow the pathway there to make those submissions on your nominee for Standout Athlete of the Week. And just so you all know, you only have to send it once. It's not that we only, if you send it today, your nominee is not eliminated if they're not chosen next Friday. They stay in the pool. So that's how that works.
Yeah, our first two couple of nominees, I think we had an athlete from Riverside and an athlete from Fairmont Senior.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting started. Just send those nominations in.
East Fairmont.
Okay.
And we appreciate the folks who take their time out to do that as well, and that's something that's really been a big help for us. Now, you mentioned Fairmont Senior, maybe a little bit of clairvoyance.
Mm-hmm.
Joining us now is the head coach of the Polar Bears boys team, Dave Retton.
Coach Retton, yes.
Yeah, we've got Coach Retton with us now, and Coach, big win for your ball club tonight over Brook.
Yes, sir. We played really well in the second half. I was pleased with just how our guys handled. We call it distractions. When you have the game in hand, I think there's a tendency when you're 15, 16 years old to just maybe get out of things that we characteristically do. And we really stayed true to what we wanted to accomplish, how we wanted to play the game, how we wanted to share the ball, how we wanted to sit down and just work on our defense. And I was really pleased with our second half, and hopefully that's a just a sign of what kind of ball club we can have if we continue to work and make improvement.
You won your second straight Class AA championship a year ago in Charleston, got to cut down the nets there at the Charleston Civic Center Coliseum. This ball club heaped with expectations as well, as you mentioned, able to handle those to this point. And at the same time, each team takes its own identity. Even though you have many of the same faces that you've had before, you get a different mix of kids when a few kids graduate over the course of time. And how are you able to kind of mold this team? And even with the fact that you've got a very talented team, it still takes a little bit of patience.
It does. It with a talented team, it really requires, we're going to be as good as we play together. And, that's one of the things that I was very disappointed in our two scrimmages. We I think we've played very team-oriented basketball in practice, and we had 2 scrimmage games against Wheeling Park and University, and I think we won those games, but we just didn't play. We didn't play as a unit. And one of the things that we talked about was, hey, individually, I'm sure that a lot of our guys would be 25. Would be really high scorers on a lot of other teams, but that's not our style. We share the basketball, we preach it, we teach it, we demand it, we expect it, and the kids expect it. It's not like, we have selfish kids. We got kids that want to win and are winners. It's just they needed reminded, and I think our players reminded themselves. We talked about it at length after we reviewed the game. Saw some things that we didn't like against University, and I say we didn't like, our team didn't like, and I think that was maybe a turning point of a young season. I know we have a lot of basketball to play, but we challenged them, we called them out, they accepted it, and that's why I was really pleased with tonight. It wasn't the margin of victory; it was how we played, and we played together, and we really shared the ball. And saw a lot of maturity on the floor. You have a big lead. I'm going to go get mine. I'm going to get my points. I'm going to go. And I didn't see that with our basketball team.
Hey, Coach, it's Joe Linville. One of our earlier callers saw part of your game tonight and was talking about, you guys had about 5 or 6 dunks there just back to back. And I just looked up your roster. You've got 3 kids over 6'6". I mean, like you said, some of these kids, want to step out and be superstars, but the key thing is teamwork and playing as a team. Your thoughts on that going forward, and how much pressure does the community put on you as a coach after winning these state championships to bring home a trophy again this year?
To answer your first question, it's huge because when we play against a team of that's well coached, when we play against a group that plays together as a team, we're going to be tested, and we need to. It takes away your rhythm, to practice one way and then go into a game and play a different way. It's not. You don't develop any continuity, any timing. So, as we continue to make strides in that, it's really interesting. I look back. And I told our kids this. I said, I've never had a 20-point score. I've never had a 20-point score in 20-some years of coaching. And I'm not proud of that fact. I'm just saying, we probably could have had many 20-point scores. But our thing has always been, the open guy gets the shot. We're not trying to make any guys all-state, all-American. We're trying to play team basketball. We're trying to be hard. We're working on being hard to guard. And, if you don't know where the shots come in the offense, I coached against some guys earlier in my coaching career. I knew where the shots were going to come in their offense. 2 or 3 guys were going to take their shots. Well, I think it's easy to shut down 2 or 3 guys, particularly at the high school level. You can cheat. You can do a lot of things differently that you can't do in college. Well, when you have 5 guys that you have to guard and you don't know whether your shots are coming from, you're a very hard team to handle. And hopefully if our kids continue to buy into that, that we will become a hard team to handle. I'm not saying we're there yet. We got a lot of basketball to play. To answer your second question in regards to the expectations, I've grown up with high expectations. I've lived them. Mm-hmm. Our program, we've had success every 10 years, every 20 years, every 30 years. There's a championship. There's the Babe Stingos paved the way for us. Bill Lawson paved the way for us. Biz Dawson. And you can go on and on about the success. But that's a good kind of pressure. That's a thing that you want to continue to uphold, add to it in ways that that work for us. So I don't necessarily, feel that there's pressure from within our community. People are people, and, people talk about three-peating, and I think that's wonderful. They're interested in our program. But, it's easy to say a three-peat. It's easy to say we're going to repeat. But, we have 70-some practices that I've, charted on our calendar. We have a shoot-around tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning that, there's a lot of work to do. It's easy to talk about a three, and I'm not talking about our team. It's easy for people that, aren't a part of the program to say, hey, you guys are going to three-peat, or let's do it. Hey, we want to do it for our fans and for our community. Absolutely. We want to have that torch and carry it. At the same time, our players, our coaching staff realize that we have a lot of work to do. Chapmanville's very good. North Marion's going to be good, very good. Mingo's going to be very good. Lincoln had a great year last year, and now they played in the tournament. You got Bluefield that's going to be there. Philip Barber's got some key kids back. So, and all those teams, I told our kids right after the game, I said, listen here, please listen to this. I said, I'm already thinking about next year, and Chapmanville is where we were when we played Polka and got beat. I thought we outplayed Polka for 28, 29 minutes, and we ended up getting beat, and they deserved to win the state championship. And I'm giving Polka all the credit in the world. They deserved the championship. But I've also felt that last year that Chapmanville outplayed us the majority of the game. And we got right at the right time. That last 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I don't know if we had a turnover. And we made key baskets, and that was the game, the last 3.5 minutes. So, we're excited. We're really not putting any thought into being a three-peat champion, a repeat champion. We're wanting to play the game the right way. We want to share. We want to do right by the game. We want to play hard and represent our school and the players that have come before in our program, and the coaching and the coaches that have coached in our program, and represent them and do the best job we can.
That's Dave Retton, head coach of the Fairmont Senior Polar Bears. Fairmont Senior opening the season tonight with a victory over Brook. And Coach Retton, once again, congratulations. We didn't get to talk to you after the state championship last year. Congratulations on your second straight. And congratulations on your win tonight. And best wishes as we go throughout the season.
Thank you so much for having me, and I wish you guys well with your show.
I always appreciate that. Dave Retton, head coach of the Fairmont Senior Polar Bears. We'll step aside, take a break. Come back with much more here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
High school basketball's voice in the Mountain State. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The Marshall University Sports Journalism degree is designed for you to find a job to put your knowledge and training to work after graduation. The program allows for students to concentrate in one of 3 exciting areas: print, public relations, or broadcasting. Our curriculum features skill-based courses and prioritizes hands-on real-life experiences that not only expose the students' work to the public, but also to sports journalism professionals who are often willing to provide crucial feedback and career-launching advice. Marshall has 15 varsity teams that afford sports journalism majors the opportunities to cover them in any media format, including text, online, photo, radio, and video. Hands-on experiences come through Marshall's student-powered media, the Parthenon, WMUL Radio, and Herd TV, as well as communications campaigns, off-campus internships, and an expansive alumni network in all areas of expertise. The Marshall University School of Journalism is ready and eager to help you start your sports media career. Learn more about the exciting possibilities by visiting marshall.edu/SOJMC. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Shout out to our newest followers, including Jordan Nicely, Chris Hunt, Peyton Adams, Kyle Powers. Thank you, Kyle, for helping us out tonight.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
24 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. First full Friday night of high school basketball in the Mountain State. So glad to be back on the airwaves. However you may be tuned into us, there are a multitude of ways. I don't know how Marcus keeps up with them all. But we thank you, our viewers, for watching, for listening on our on the Fast Break Sports Network, on our 20-plus affiliates now. We cover just about all of the state, and we're getting there. We're still working on that, and it's a team effort. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and a lot of people put in a lot of time on it.
And technically, listening online, we do cover the state. We cover the world.
That's right. Yeah, if you're in Thailand right now, you can listen in, get your West Virginia high school basketball fix. We're big in Thailand, I hear. But anyway, something that I wanted to mention here also. If you're watching, if you can see, if you can't, I'll describe to you. A little bit of a change on the set this year. We normally have jerseys and shirts representing schools such as Paw Paw in front of us. But on the set right now are a pair of awards. We've got a Marcom Gold Award. That was for the February 24th, 2017 edition of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. It won a gold award for radio programming, and obviously, guys, 2/24/17 was a great show.
Mm-hmm. Must have been
right there at the end of the regular season.
It must have been pretty good, and also, you heard us mention that we want our Standout Athlete of the Week nominations. We have a Hermes Platinum Award. It may look silver. That's actually platinum. Mm-hmm. That was for our special correspondent, Dylan Stone, for his Standout Athlete of the Week segments. So congratulations to him. He did a phenomenal job with that. Again, we hope to start back with that again next week. But, those awards are nice. It's kind of validation that somebody out there thinks the show is pretty good. And we thank them for that.
Absolutely.
Not just friends and family of us patting us on the back saying, good job.
So now we're a part of an award-winning show.
We're now the award-winning Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
That's right. Change the name. It's the award-winning.
I want that in all the new imaging. And also, we can't forget this.
Yes.
Back in June, I believe it was.
Maybe in July.
It all runs together.
Yeah.
It was hot.
A few months ago.
It was hot.
Yeah. We were all invited to the governor's reception room of the West Virginia State Capitol, where we were honored to receive certificates of recognition from Governor Jim Justice, the head girls basketball coach at Greenbrier East, and the former head boys basketball coach of the Spartans as well. And that was a good time to go up there. Senator Mark Maynard, whose district covers from Wayne County down into Mercer County. It's a very oddly drawn district, but State Senator Mark Maynard there to present us those certificates back in the summer, and we appreciate that as well. And Hazel Dameron was awarded as a distinguished West Virginian. Yes. And,
deservedly so.
Yeah,
absolutely. And for all her years of service. And
her part is our show too.
Yeah, people don't know this, but we do have some people who listen and specifically not just because they're basketball fans. They listen because they know more of the technical side of radio. It's like, well, did you like the show or not? And it goes beyond, did you get basketball scores that you were looking for? Did you find out how your favorite team did, et cetera, et cetera? And she's been a big part of that behind the scenes. So is Dr. Chuck Bailey, the faculty advisor, WMUL student radio station at Marshall University, where we emanate our broadcast from every Friday night. And, I don't want to delve too far into it.
Yeah, there's
nobody.
A lot of people back there.
Yeah, and if I say something here that's out of line, I apologize. And anybody that's listening that has, a little bit of power within Wayne County, don't take this personal. It's not that at all. But WFGH was taken off the air after 40 plus years. The Wayne County Board of Education decided that, the central office, I should say, decided that it was just not an expense that they felt they could incur any longer. It was pennies compared to the budget yearly. So that was their decision. They made it. I know efforts are being made right now to get the stations back on the air before the license expires. It's just it's unfortunate for the folks of Wayne County who grew up on WFGH.
Well, it's a travesty, and of course, because of that, folks in Wayne County didn't get to hear the football this fall, and they had two playoff teams in Wayne and Spring Valley that they'd love to have been able to follow this year and didn't have that opportunity.
Wayne County has had a team in the Super 6, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2015, 2016, and 2017. And no radio stations to cover the three this year. Think about that for a moment. So, that's, again, it's not aimed at anyone in particular. Don't take it that way. But I know some people tend to have a little bit of a thin skin sometimes, and it's not meant that way at all. This is for the folks of Wayne County who, pay their taxes as well.
That's right.
And
even besides
significant
sports,
amount of it goes to the school system.
Broadcasting school updates.
It's a community service.
Exactly.
Yes. And
it's much needed anywhere.
And I'll tell you something Fred Dameron would always do. Vern Stanfield did it before him. The elementary school kids in Wayne County would all send their their Christmas wish list into Santa, and he would read them all on the air, and they would listen in their classrooms, and that was always a neat little thing. I remember when I did that in first grade. I asked for a live snake. I don't like snakes.
Why does that surprise me?
I don't like snakes at all, Bill. That's the more bizarre part about it. But that was what I asked for in first grade.
But I'm with you. I echo everything that you say. Let's get the heads together and let's get this worked out and let's get it working again.
The Barbara J. Marone key player shootout tonight at Tulsa High School. I called a number of those games over the years on WFGH. It was unavailable tonight for anyone from George Washington, Wayne, Glen Hayes, Fort Gay, Crum, Dunlow, Genoa, Lavalette, Louisa, Fallsburg, the surrounding areas. Couldn't listen to those games tonight. That's a shame. We'll be back with more basketball Friday night in West Virginia here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
High school basketball's voice in the Mountain State. This is Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. Have someone remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? You can nominate your team's player to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab, fill out the nomination form, and we'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. Check it out at basketballnight.com. Also, don't forget to sign up for the Daily Hoops Roundup. It's part of basketballnight.com, too. Every day, we recap the day's scores just for you on every team in West Virginia. We send followers a tweet at midnight with a link to the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can also visit basketballnight.com. Just click on the Daily Hoops Roundup for all the day's scores. And we want you to become part of our score reporting crew during the week, too. Send us your team scores by Twitter, text, or email, and we'll make that part of the Daily Hoops Roundup. On Twitter, at @hoops_roundup, at @hoops_roundup. You can email us at scores@basketballnight.com, scores@basketballnight.com. And you can send us a text with your scores. You can text us at 304-249-4924. Text your scores to 304-249-4924. It's all found at basketballnight.com.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
It's 11:34 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Joe Linville, Bill Cornwell with you. If you're watching on one of the video streams, we put up the pictures. That collage is done upstairs, and just, again, great work to fill in the breaks. But sometimes the pictures catch us a little funny right out of the break.
It was
a great picture. It was good.
But it looked like some kids from Hamlin, and all I wanted for Christmas is a state championship.
Yeah.
I guess they meant Lincoln County. I don't know.
Yeah, and for that school, softball's been very good over the years.
They've been pretty competitive in girls basketball.
Yeah, I did see Lincoln County's girls basketball team earlier this year. They're in a little bit of a rebuild mode. Mm-hmm. I think they'll be pretty good in about a year or two.
There's always been plenty of basketball talent in Lincoln County. It's got to come together sometime.
Yeah, I remember there were some really good Hamlin teams in Class Single A. And again,
don't forget Hearts.
Right. Well, Hearts and boys with Harry Kirk and all that crew. I mean, they when they rolled into the gym, you knew it, and when you went into their gym, you sweated to death. But
I'll never forget my first trip down to cover a Van Hearts game. There's a bridge. There was people hanging all over that bridge, and I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, where am I at? But a great atmosphere in the gym.
It was. Yeah, that was legendary about how hot that gym was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I went in there one time, and it wasn't hot. And I remember I asked one of their coaches, I was like, doesn't seem as warm here. I said, yeah, heaters went out. It was comfortable. But anyway, they fixed the heater shortly after that. But let's go back to the phone lines. Craig Dutton, one of my favorite stations, WRRR, St. Mary's. He joins us now on the program. Yes, I know it's 93 Light Rock. WRRR it will always be. Craig, welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
No, glad to be on with you guys here this evening. Of course, it's funny. I'm trying to get out of football season right now.
Yeah.
It's been a long season for myself. I got the pleasure to cover River Pilots in Ohio for the last few weeks in football, and then I got to see St. Mary's in their final push for the state title. And, of course, they fell to Wheeling Central. And I could just tell you a good bit of, from what I've seen up here up north, in terms of talent and what you've seen, Wheeling Central, I think what they've done in football might carry over to the basketball court as well. They're a highly touted team in Class Single A ball this year. And St. Mary's, it's a rebuilding year, both for the boys and girls teams. Of course, we never had their first home game yet, which is Monday is for the girls. They'll play Magnolia. And then following week, St. Mary's will host Peyton City on Friday night. Of course, St. Mary's, I think, in both boys and girls have been in action so far this season. I think for a rebuilding year for the girls, they've actually done pretty well for themselves so far. They've defeated Work County. I believe they had a loss to Parkersburg Catholic, and those are a couple other teams really to watch out for in the coming years as Parkersburg Catholic and Williamstown in the girls' end.
Yeah, and it's been a while since we've had to talk about a rebuild for St. Mary's girls basketball.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier with Brandon Gregory. That's a young team. There's still talent there, and that's probably a team that's going to be much better in February than it is right now.
It is. There's so many young athletes, and everyone I've talked to, the coaches agree with it. They're not gonna hold back on when it comes to obligation to giving the upperclassmen an opportunity. You don't do that whenever you're in a rebuilding stage. You give everybody an opportunity, and that's what they're doing with their freshman class. There's a couple kids that have moved up, or a couple young ladies that moved up from middle school. They're going to get a lot more time as freshmen on the varsity squad. And that's just what happens. You put a lot more dependency on a young lady like Addie Furr for St. Mary's, who's easily going to be one of their top scorers. And for her, it's going to be a lot easier just telling her to take the shot, more or less over anybody else. So it's true. It's hard to believe that, but you're right. I agree with you, Ryan, on that. But by the time February comes around, we got to see what happens, because the schedule they have in the LKC is pretty tough for the most part.
Oh, absolutely. And Tyler Consolidated seems to be off to a good start as well. Something I always like to do, and it's a little bit untraditional, but I like to get the perspective of the opposing team's broadcast of a team. Now, like we talked with Brandon Gregory, obviously he's covering Tyler Consolidated. He's going to know more about Tyler Consolidated as the year goes along. But I like a different set of eyes to be able to kind of tell me what they saw. Tyler Consolidated is not a name brand on the basketball court right now, but it might be soon.
It might be soon. Kathy Boggs, who took over the program a few years back, that's always been the one thing I hate saying. I've covered them in football and radio. It's funny, you talk about Brandon. I'm going to be actually carrying the part-time duty on 92.3 this year and calling games on there for Tyler this year. So it's funny, Brandon will give you a report, and I can give you a couple set of eyes here eventually for the Silver Knights on both boys and girls. But you're right, the girls program, they've lost a bit of talent from the last few years. There's one girl that really sticks out that's played a lot as an underclassman, and her name's Jolie Walton. I don't know how much of an impact she's had early on this season, but of course she's athletic director and head football coach Ryan Walton's daughter, and really has made an impact on different sides of the sports all up there. She's one name I really could see sticking out for that team in the future years. I hate shifting it to the boys' side, but what's really impressive is former Parkersburg South athletic director Rick Leach is now taking over the boys' helm for Tyler Consolidated, and I feel in that in itself is going to be a big boost and shot in the arm to Tyler Consolidated's boys' program.
That's a county that, with Sistersville, especially in football, and there were some really good Tyler County high school teams too, but there was a lot of community pride within that school system. You talk about Jeff Swisher and those names and the success they had on the football field a long time ago. Consolidation, the school's in Middleburn now. It's it's out away from town. You can lose your identity a little bit. And I know Tyler Consolidated had some really good football teams right when they first opened. But since then, it's been a little bit hit and miss for the Silver Knights. I last saw them 10 years ago, actually. 2007, I saw them in a playoff game. But
they played Wayne that year. I was right before I started calling games on radio for them.
And I can't remember who I talked to now. I'm pretty sure that the people sitting beside of me for that game I've had on this show at some point now. But long story short, basketball can do a whole lot more for Tyler Consolidated than just win games.
Yes, it can. It can carry over into other sports too, and the confidence level. I mean, you're right. It's one thing that you look forward to see be built upon. Out at Tyler Consolidated, try to get that spirit back from when it used to be Tyler County and Sistersville. Back beyond in the '80s when things were flying high for all them teams, even for girls basketball. Tyler County had some notable girls basketball teams in the '80s for the Red Raiders when they were about. So that's one thing you got to look forward to. I will say that's one thing different about Tyler Consolidated over the years. It's their female athletes have seemed kind of hold the mantle over the years. If I think of Tyler Consolidated prestige-wise, it'd be their volleyball program. You know, they only have one title to their name, but they've been in the finals, it seems, in Class A for the last few years. It's usually been Work County taking them out, or Williamstown, or a few other teams in the LKC. But it's been an impressive run for what basketball can do as a whole. Hopefully they can get that fan support again up there for the Silver Knights. I think they can do that.
Correct.
If they just stay focused towards that. Yes.
I was just going to say, first, always a pleasure. That means I have to get rid of you.
I know. That's what I meant.
And two, interestingly enough, a random name came up in conversation today, and I'll keep this short because most of our viewers and listeners will have no idea what I'm talking about. But
okay,
Kim Cobb's name came up today.
Oh boy!
And yes, and I just recall, for people who are listening or watching for the first time or missed it when we talked about it before, I remember Craig and I about 10, 15, 12, I don't know how many years ago now.
Not that long ago now.
30, 35, I don't know. But we set up a softball, we set up a softball game between WMUL and the radio station at West Virginia State University. And that was one that we had a lot of fun with. And I still think we got cheated in the game up there, but that's okay. No, I'm playing. But
now hold on.
No,
I got to give that credit to Dave. He had a really good game. You guys had some really good teams, though. I'll give you that.
Hey, the WMUL softball team was pretty tough at times. But Craig, always a pleasure. I look forward to talking to you again later on in the season.
Thank you. No, I'll try to get you as many reports of St. Mary's. Again, real quick of their boys. It's a rebuilding year for them, too, but I'll get you what I can in the coming weeks here. Thank you, guys.
Sounds good. It's Craig Dutton of WRRR 93 Light Rock in St. Mary's. We'll step aside for our final break. Come back. We'll get our last check of the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard and our poll question and cause time. You thought I was going with that first, didn't you? We'll be back with that and wrap up Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia after this on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia. Visit basketballnight.com. Special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. Of course, if you're watching on Network West Virginia, Suddenlink, or Comcast Channel 25 in the Huntington area. Also, great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including our newest affiliates tonight, the Valley's Watchdog, 1600 AM WKKX in Wheeling, 1370 AM WVLY Moundsville, Jackson County's home for Southern Gospel, Singing News Radio, 92.5 FM WTHM LP, Ravenswood, Ripley, Knights Radio, 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn, Talk Radio, WRNR, Martinsburg, 740 AM, 106.5 FM, Classic Hits 106, WHFI Linside, 106.7 FM, 95 The Sports Fox, WBES Charleston, 950 AM, 101.9 FM, and 1290 AM. Our friends in Logan, WVOW Logan, Light Rock 93R, WRRR, St. Mary's, 93.9 FM. The Ticket, 102.3 FM, WMTD in Hinton, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM, WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM, WYAPLP in Clay, and of course Marshall University's flagship station, 88.1 FM, WMUL in Huntington. We're also streaming online, high-definition video. You can find it on our website and also on Twitter, Periscope. Thanks for joining us here at Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
11:48 on this basketball Friday night in West Virginia. I use a phrase a lot, even though I can't say I was a big fan of the movies. But Smokey and the Bandit, we got a long way to go in a short time to get there. We've got a lot of stuff left to cram into the last 15 minutes of this show. We're going to start quickly with Spencer Dupuis, who joins us now here in studio. And Spencer has our poll question.
Thanks, Ryan. This week's poll question is, do you think that coaches should be given a warning before a technical foul is assessed? Yes or no? Head over to basketballnight.com to cast your vote.
All right, Spencer, thank you very much. Spencer, a student at Marshall University in broadcast journalism. And right now, let's go to the Marshall University Sports Journalism basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Taking a look at the boys' side of the scoreboard. It was Tyler Consolidated over Cameron tonight, 64-60. Magnolia fell to Elkin, 65-46. Oak Glen defeated South Beaver 52-49. It was Ripley scoring the final 8 points of the game to come from behind to defeat Grafton 55-54. Chapmanville, the Tigers, big winners tonight over the Polka Dots 86-41. It was Lincoln, the Cougars, over Braxton County tonight 66-62. University defeated Buchanan Upshur 78-53. It was Buffalo, the Bisons, over Wahama 46-41. The Sherman Tide fell to the Charleston Catholic Irish 51-43. It was Fayetteville over Meadowbridge 62-58. Hurricane, big winners tonight over Greenbrier East on the road 77-75. Greenbrier West also a winner 50-43 over Independence. Tigris Valley over Harmon, that was 69-37. North Marion over Liberty Harrison, 74-45. Shady Spring over Liberty Raleigh tonight, 94-37. The Bulldogs of Van picked up a big win over Class AA Lincoln County, 72-68. It was the Wildcats of Logan over Scott tonight, 92-70. Montcalm fell to Craig County, Virginia, 46-39. Morgantown, the Mohegans, was the big winner over Preston Light, 57-34. The Golden Knights of Mountain View down Riverview, 67-49. Nitro winners over Nicholas County, 75-69. Oak Hill over Pikeview, 93-34. It was Musselman over Parkersburg, 56-50. Philip Barber over Parkersburg Catholic this evening, 61-56. Ravenswood, big winners over Ritchie County, 84-35. In a close one, St. Albans defeated Riverside, 65-64. Webster County was defeated by Valley Fayette this evening, 67-53. Valley Wetzel over Peyton City, 79-62. It was Brook falling to Fairmont Senior tonight, 87-35. Hedgesville, the Eagles over Silver Oak Academy, 60-33. And Brook Point DC defeated Spring Mills, 60-40.
Girls scores tonight. Williamstown Tournament, the Wheeling Central Maroon Knights defeat Polka 92-54. Also tonight, Grafton over Philip Barber, 70-35. It was Clay Battelle over Liberty Harrison, 52-29. And the Barbara J. Marone Key Player Shootout at Tulsa High School tonight. It was George Washington defeating Wayne, 57-54. Also tonight, Summers County defeats James Monroe, 60-39. Parkersburg Catholic over Gilmer County, 71-37. It was Craig County, Virginia over Montcalm, the Generals fall on the road, 46-39. Moorfield defeats East Hardy, 42-28 the final. Tyler Consolidated a 61-47 winner over St. Mary's. It was Midland Trail defeating Richwood, 77-46. Lawrence County goes on the road, beats Tulsa in that other Barbara J. Marone Key Player Shootout contest, 51-35 the final in that one. Also, Riverview beats Shady Spring, 75-26. It was Ritchie County over Work County, 46-32. Westside, a 30-point winner over Man, 62-32. Hurricane defeats East Fairmont, 82-44. St. Francis of Maryland defeats St. Joe, 61-20. Spring Valley picks up a win over Ripley, 49-33. Pocahontas County beats Bath County, Virginia, 53-14. And Clay County lost to Williamstown, guys. I remember that.
Somebody got it backwards.
We got that one backwards. Yeah, it was Williamstown picked up a win tonight over Clay County. That's your basketball night. Marsh University Sports Journalism, basketballnight.com scoreboard update.
And before we run out of time, I want to wish good luck to all the cheerleading squads in Charleston. Tomorrow is the state cheerleading championship, and good luck, ladies.
Should be a lot
and some gentlemen.
Yes, and you mentioned big events. The name synonymous with big events is Rick Kozlowski of the Martinsburg Journal. If it's a big event, he's there.
Cause in the house.
I wonder if he's got his snow shovel out yet.
Hey, Rick joins us now on the program. Rick, how are things in Martinsburg tonight?
Well, that might sum things up tomorrow. We haven't quite gotten there yet. Things are kind of calm.
Okay.
And there's a forecast for some snow, but most of it might stick to the state of the east. So we might be spared.
I don't think anyone would complain about that, especially now that we're into the midst of high school basketball season and weather, obviously a factor basically from beginning to end in this sport. But Eastern Panhandle ball clubs, Martinsburg obviously coming off of its second straight football state championship and a second straight undefeated season. They have not opened their boys basketball season yet. They will do so next week against Loudoun Valley, Virginia. And but just throughout the Panhandle over the past couple of years, Martinsburg, Hedgesville has been a little bit of a step back. Musselman has put itself into the mix as one of the top teams in the Eastern Panhandle. Rick, we don't have a lot of time. What are we looking at this year from an expectation standpoint?
Well, I think Martinsburg will be the team to beat for the fact that they have the whole team back, except for a couple of football players who decided they're going to focus on football. But they were kind of role players, so so you're looking at a team that is basically is the same team as a year ago that made it to state quarterfinals and suffered a close loss. I think looking beyond that, I watched Hedgesville tonight in their so-called Jake from State Farm night, and the tournament's called the State Farm Hardwood Classic or something like that, and they left the other team looking like it was playing in khakis. Thank you, guys. I was wondering if anybody's going to remember that.
I got it.
I was actually going to ask if the officials wore khakis tonight for the contest, but you beat me to it.
But that might be a little bit too tacky. But I think Hedgesville virtually has the same team back, same 5 starters. They're pretty experienced, as does Washington. Washington has 5 starting players back from a year ago, from a team that was near 500. They seem to think that they got some good things going on. I watched them tonight in the Hedgesville Mixer, and it was a very uninspired effort, I thought, by them. And I don't know. They were missing one player tonight. Could he bring some excitement? It was hard to say. I mean, they were playing against a decent local Christian school, but they only had, I think, 9 points in the whole second half. Meanwhile, Hedgesville looked exciting. Not the slow motion offense so many people think they run. They're actually running down the floor a little bit. But I think and I was surprised a little bit, I think, by the Musselman score. Obviously, they got Division I player in Jake Stevens, who signed at VMI in the early signing period. But they graduated 4 starters, an extremely young team, and to beat Parkersburg, obviously, at home, it helps. but I think that was a big win for them tonight.
Absolutely, Rick. We've got to let you go as we are pushing right up against the end of the show. We've got about 30 seconds left, and unfortunately, we're going to do this quickly. It won't do justice, though, to the person. Back in October, Louis D'Antoni, a West Virginia Sports Hall of Fame basketball coach, the father of Houston Rockets coach Mike D'Antoni and Marshall University basketball coach Dan D'Antoni, also Kathy D'Antoni, who's one of the leaders in West Virginia education with the State Board of Education, passed away. He was 103 years old. Louis D'Antoni coached in Mullins, won the state basketball championship in 1955, a team that was led by Willie Akers.
A lot of history.
Yeah, he was the first West Virginia Sports Writers Association High School Coach of the Year and a member of the Sports Hall of Fame. So Louis D'Antoni passing away at 103 years old earlier back in October, a little bit over 2 months ago. A little bit less than 2 months ago now. But that's it for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Back in 1 week. See you then.
Thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Tune in next Friday for the latest high school basketball action from across the Mountain State. Visit basketballnight.com for our show archives, the poll question of the week, and the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Until next time, have a great weekend, and thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The preceding broadcast was a presentation of the Fast Break Sports Network. Copyright 2017. All rights reserved.